This is stuff that's like really.
The 6,000 avocado, well, 3,000 avocados in there.
Not that way.
The H&B is in them in such a low amount.
This is. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was like, the way I want to start.
Yeah, come up and look at our. Okay, so. Appreciate you representing the park board, Tom. One of the things that Sarah got for me is, so here's the deal. So the park board has been up and running now. I mean, so we kind of got an idea of what it takes.
Well, I will say, as far as this year, this is the first year that we haven't had to get credits back
Yeah.
for the first slips and things like that, and we.
But I mean, just generally, like stuff was beat up before, like we had to buy stuff, and everything else, and so my goal now is to get the commissioners back involved with capital expenditures and reporting at the park. So this budget, I know you weren't the one that made the budget, so obviously.
I was part of it because Kathy Norm and myself, Tracy and we went over the estimates on what increased revenues we expected for this year, since we got a full year of pure slip revenue. We're gonna have a full year of the increased rates that we increased the camper fees for.
So let me stop for a second. So since we have commissioners here, we have council here, we have the public here. Somehow there became this fallacy that the park board is allowed to spend everything they take. That's not here. The park board is the parking system and then asking the commissioners. So the preference is, if there's positive revenue at some point, the commissioners take that and put that back in the county's account. There's no. It's not intended at all for like average grows that expense everything that it takes in. Whoever said that or thinks that, please tell them that that's not the case.
Well, I don't think anyone's ever betrayed that. Well, this is the first year that our budget has even changed, because each of the last 2 years that I was on, it was pretty similar to what it was.
But we put budget on the sky originally because we just started the park board. Like originally, the council, before you were around, the council that I was on the board with, that was very conservative, said they didn't want to fund it at all. They didn't want any extra money. We fought with that.
But with what Dave said, you know, the intention to believe, I'm speaking for the whole board, like me, the intention would be not just arbitrarily take money away from the park while they need things. You know,
Right, that's what I'm saying. We're good.
that's what we're talking to them about.
It's a water.
And there's actually two things that I wanted to talk about today is one, why we've submitted an increased budget for repair and maintenance and for equipment, because we're trying to do a little bit more long-term planning instead of just keeping up with the day-to-day operations, which we've been doing since I've been on there. And there's actually another fund that Kathy Norm has brought to our attention that we wanted to talk to you guys about, and maybe before the actual budget hearing, we can get that put in place to where it's funds that we can put into that account that roll over year to year, so that we can do better long-term plan.
Yeah, we have a fund like it's
Put in like, it'd be like a maintenance fund or something.
Yeah, but the state allows the park boards to create these types of accounts within their own budget.
a discretionary.
Not in the county budget, but in the park board budget. And that's what we're looking to ask for permission to do to well, so.
We don't have information on that right now.
We can forward it to you by the end of today if you need it.
That's what it is. Well, it's kind of like the radio, kind of sort of, but
Yeah.
kind of sort of, but it's not. I can't think I can't think what it's called.
I can get it to you by the end of today, because Kathy's mom has done some research on this, and what she's saying is that the state allows park boards to create these specific types of funds so that you can roll over year to year, so you can do the better long-term
Right,
planning
even if
as a
state,
park board.
even if state says that, it's up to the council.
No, it's up to them to create it, and that's why I'm doing it.
The only thing I say about that, to me, I like the idea of it, but. I don't know if it's creating more paperwork and more whatever, because. Whether it comes from you or it comes out of Cume Cap, that money goes back into the general fund, it's really, it's no different. It's just, it's no
This is
different.
why the commissioners have authority though.
Yeah, it's
is what I'm
no
saying.
different.
At some point,
You
the
know,
county owned asset that so far, and this year again, is not gonna pay for itself. It's gonna be a little bit under.
And really, depending on what happens, I mean, is right now, like I said, for at least the time I've been on there, we've been barely able to keep up just with operations with the fees. And things that we're taking in, so that's why we did do the increase in the camera fee last year, that was partly to take into account some of these, utility bills and things like that.
Right.
So that was our interest.
But I'm not focusing on that. What I'm saying is EMS is that way. In our county, EMS doesn't pay for it. So the commissioners pay for that. So we have an EMS service in the county. What I'm saying is that for capital expenditures within a government system, county executive should have authority over it, which we obviously set the budget. But then currently now, once the budget is set, the park board has the latitude to spend up to that amount. Now, those amounts were high initially because we thought septic systems were gonna have to be fixed, roads had to be repaired, all these things had to be done. Little by little, the assets become improved. That's when capital expenditures should be controlled by the county executive, and they should hear. And then also, then they review things like bidding processes being, properly, done. But then also, do they want to put the money into the asset? That's their job as far as, the commissioners are concerned.
I'm a little confused on them. What's the purpose of creating the park board if you didn't want that park board to do the planning and do the overseeing? Because I haven't heard anybody come back and say the park board's spending money they shouldn't be spending.
See, you're taking this the wrong way. This is how government operates, and that's how government operates. What happens then is the park board makes a request to the commissioners for a capital expenditure.
yeah, like for instance, I've talked about this to several people about the meters. Meters out there.
And we're talking about that.
That would be a prime example, which would be a huge gap.
Yeah, if it votes for it.
Because it's a capital, it's a one-time investment, basically, and you guys can't afford to do that, but. It's such a benefit, it's a benefit to the park board. In the long run by far, in the county, because now those utility bills are gonna be way different. Gonna be so known. So much more known than what it would be. I mean, that's like, and we gave money out of QCAP for some of the lift station too,
Pump station.
right?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, lift station's got issues now too.
Well, and that's-
We tried to deal with things and put the money in where it was supposed to go, but we've had issues with the pump with this rain. I mean, that's an issue.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is that we're trying to plan, because at the end of last year, we had a whole bunch of shifting and a whole bunch of readjusting. And the money that we're allocating in this year's budget is so that we don't have to do that at the end of this year. And what we're saying is we want to be able, at least this is my view, and the park board can speak for itself as well. But I think the view is that we want to be able to budget the money that we're taking in fees within the park board and deal with the ongoing operations of that ourselves, just with the money that we've increased in fees. And we just believe that that's why we're there. That's what the park board was created for, is for us to be able to manage those funds. If we're not doing something right, let us know. But we're just trying, and when big issues come up, like we're talking about changing the sewer system and going and doing large capital improvements, you're right, we don't have the funds to do that, and we would come back to the county to do those major improvements.
And I don't think any of
We don't have it, and it's hard for us to plan for that, because we don't have access to
Well,
those
here's my
funds.
question. Okay, so I'm just looking at some of these other budget proposals and there are a lot of other departments that have allocations for repair and maintenance. And the park boards happen to be bigger than most of the others, but I guess because I like consistency, like I talked about earlier, how last year, when, everybody that came before us, if they wanted, what was it? Equipment, we were like, no, you come before the commissioners and ask for that at the time. So I guess my thought is, if we're gonna talk about this with the board, are we gonna talk about it with the other departments too, that before they expend money on repairs and maintenance?
Well, this is a new department. All the other departments are managed that way already.
Well, not according to their budgets. They have, let's see, I was circling surveyor, repair and maintenance. As you guys were just sitting here, I started like, well, who else is asking for
Negotiated those
it's
things.
much smaller amounts than this? So, and I'm not saying I'm against the
No, what I'm
oversight
saying is
either.
we've set a precedence with those departments. They've been around for a long time. We've gone through the same thing with them to get there.
Okay, so they were managed more closely with it when it came to repair and maintenance in the past.
This was startup money. You know what I'm saying? Like, we put a bunch of money in there just in case. Now, for example, like I've heard, this is not Tom, but Tracy was talking about getting a tractor with a loader. That's something that should go to the commissioner. That's
And we haven't asked for that though. So I guess all I'm trying to say is that the reason for the increases in the areas in the budget this year is to take into account the additional revenue that we're generating ourselves. It's coming from camper fees, gate fees, pier slips. And that's it. And if we have large capital expenditures, we do want to come back to you guys to be able to
That's
do
what I'm
that.
trying to explain. Just because you're making more money doesn't mean you just get budgeted more.
Well, no, but we're also being criticized for not doing the proper longer term planning, and you can't plan that money if at the end of the year.
Yeah,
all your money-
give us
all
specific
your money
examples
goes
of
away.
that.
Well, we were talking about doing better, doing increases with the piers, doing additional piers. We got the aluminums going on the two. We're talking about doing longer term planning for the south pier that really is all wood. But we're evaluating all that stuff. We're just in the planning stage. And now that we have this, we're projecting a little extra money this year, more than we took in last year. We want to be able to account for that money so that it doesn't go away at the end of the year and do that longer term planning so that we have the funds that we don't have to come back to you guys for. That's the goal.
I think even like whatever they make, even though it come back county general, they can show, like, come to us and show us, right? That they
Yeah, if
made.
it's sitting in general and they can show us how much they've brought in, then it would be something you guys.
Even if they're negative, but they need something, even if they're negative, though, they need
Right.
capital, if something breaks,
Right,
then you still fix it.
yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Do you know, Tom, what is like the service contract?
well, it reduced, so let me talk for a second, just let everybody know where I'm coming from. Sarah had a report run for me that I didn't watch it, so let me walk you through all of this. So. Let's just, it's a small budget, let's just go through it. Superintendent, birth and health insurance are all pretty straightforward, social security, FICA.
Yep.
Now, office supplies are going from 1,000 to 3,000. I realize it's budgeted 3,000 in 2023. We reduced it because they didn't use it. Why would office supplies have to go up 3 times?
Well,
Let's see, you spent $857 up this year, and then your season's almost over. You're half also.
we still got the rest of the year to go. But we're talking about next year. Right? So we're doing just the planning to be able to account for our money. If you remember at the end of last year, we had to do a lot of adjusting from funds to funds. We would rather not have to do that.
Okay, when you send out all your notices, like, you know what I'm saying, your season is underway, your season's ending in 2 months. You're more than halfway through your season, that's the point I'm making. You've used $857, that means you're asking for $2,200 more to run office supplies. That's ridiculous.
You didn't make this, so we.
Right.
I was part of it, and what we were doing is looking at the areas that we took money away from in previous years and didn't spend because we didn't have it. Right?
Right.
So we're looking to say,
I've got it all here, Tom. I know what.
Which really, which
I don't understand what you just said,
is how much,
I got it all here.
how much
You said
that
I'm
money-
saying something that's untrue.
no,
Everything you spent this year, you can still spend it, Tom, like if we don't do this with you here, we'll do your budget, because we have the council has the authority on your budget. It's not something that we have to go with the park board negotiation, I'm trying to work with you, I'm trying to extend halfway. I've got a report that says how much you've expended from each one of those lines.
yeah, that's what we're trying to say.
Okay, so just let us know what you, I guess, then I need a better idea of what you expect the park board to do. We're trying to do the best we can with what we have. And we're looking at, just because that number is there, doesn't mean we're gonna spend that whole amount either. That money is there just in case we need it. We need to do mail.
So like,
Yeah.
so I get that, but like, it's so much, I guess for me, it's just so much for, if you said 1,500, we've already spent 857 years, half over the busy part. I can see having,
That's what I
you know,
was.
$600, $700.
But I think the third thing that we're looking at too is for office supplies, postage, those types of things, is the general community involvement and getting the community more involved. And, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Doesn't say, yeah, that's,
Okay, well, let's go through the budget, and see what.
Yeah.
other
I
questions we
guess
have.
I would kind of echo what Tony had said, like, if they're at 857 and we're a little over half the year and over half their season's coming to a close, maybe bump the 3,000 down to 1,500, which still is an increase over last year, but it's.
Well, I guess,
$500.
but here's the thing, Tom, we might come across something where you're low on, and then we bump it up, and that's the thing is, we're just trying to.
so,
If you're asking for something, listen, if you're asking for something under like, office supplies, it's kind of gotta be used for that. We don't wanna give you extra things, say, oh, I got extra in office supplies. We need a new one section of pier. You know what I mean? That's all. We're just trying to get it in the perspective. That's all. I'm not trying to cut you slow, you know. Yeah,
but
we have to.
But at the end of last year, we were running low in all these different funds, and we had to do all of this adjusting to get to stay in within the budget. If we come back and ask you guys for something, you say, no, adjust it.
And,
What did they say
well,
last
well, if you come, bring your book, bring it with you, what you adjust, say, look, guys, here's where we are, you know?
They budgeted.
So you know, so you, I guess that's my question. So you don't want the park board to budget the amount of fees that they're expecting to bring in for the year of 2025. You don't want us to do that?
No, we want you to budget of what it costs to operate the park, the rest of it goes to the commission.
Like this repair and maintenance.
Yeah.
Went from 32 and it's 46,000.
Let me go through I got it all here. Though.
Yeah, let's do that, let's do
So
that.
let's start with that. So realistically, like, you're not gonna spend probably 1,000 in office supplies, but let's just, for now, let's just start penciling some stuff in so we can work here, because we've got 20 other budgets still to go through, and we could spend, fighting tooth and nail here about something that I just, maybe I'm not explaining myself well enough, you just get me angry. So
I'm not
1,500. Now, let's go to repair and maintenance. I've already warned Kathy about this, so she knows. I told Tracy didn't listen. But repair and maintenance is one of those things where some of those things are capital expenditure items. Sometimes I might be more than the budget, but hold on a second, Tom. Hold on a second. Right now, you spent 14,835, and then you've got some bills out there that would actually bring it up to $17,000. Okay. You're budgeted for 32,000, your season is almost over, 3/4 of the way over. And you've used about half of your budget. But you want to increase your budget by 50%. No, we don't do that. I'm just saying, like, that's just not how it operates. Now. The other thing is I want a portion of that to go back to the oversight of the commissioners, because no offense to the park board, but if you want to expand your piers out there and go from wood to aluminum and all that kind of upgrade, the commissioners need to be involved in why you're upgrading. I agree, it looks better. I agree it's fancier, but I mean, if it's not gonna, increase revenue, if it's, you know what I mean? Maybe it does. Maybe it's safety, I don't know, but I mean.
It could be safety, it could be installation easy, it could be a lot of
Consider it
things.
As the commission,
Sure.
is all you're saying,
Yeah,
whichever way.
I mean, the safety, the installation is probably less time. I'm just saying, just let you know, but. It needs to go ahead. Yes,
And things happen. I'm
Yes.
just saying, as far as making a 50% jump, no, that's not what happened. Like I said, you spent half of it right now. That number needs to be somewhere between 32,000 and 20,000. Not 46,000, but not take it away either.
Well, that is taken. It's not being budgeted,
Well, that doesn't mean.
it's not being allocated. so we can't spend it. We don't.
Well, yeah, but here's,
Well, so I guess
you need
if
to
if
spend it
y'all
though.
review our budget, come back to us with a number that you think belongs there, that we've changed. And I guess we'll have to live with it, but that's all we can do. And I don't know how the park board will react to that, but, you
Well,
know.
that's what they're saying. If you need something extra, you just come to us.
Right.
Yeah, so here,
You don't want us to budget the money we're taking. You don't want us to budget.
We want- we want you to budget the money to run it. We're not taking the money from you. Okay, like. It's to the benefit of everybody that, okay, you take in, let's say you take in $220,000, okay? You spend.
That's about what we are.
Okay, you spend 210,000, okay? So 10,000 of it may go back to the general fund, but you need electric meters. You guys can't pay. Well, we can to cap. So there's $50,000 they put in. So you already got 40,000 over of what you took in. So it's not like, it's more like a reallocation of money and using fume cap for what it's supposed to be used for capital projects, for an outlay that improves everything.
EMS, trying to take all their money.
Yeah, I know there were things I'm sure we would have liked to have done last year. And like to have done this year, but we didn't have the revenue to do
Yeah.
it. So all we're trying to do is budget the amount of money that we're taking in so that we can plan for those longer term things. And like I said before, there is an account that park boards can create with your approval, you guys have to approve it. So that we can roll money over from one year to the next, so that it doesn't go back into the general fund and we still have access to it for planning purposes.
But
Because once it goes back into the general fund, that becomes so much harder to follow, I think budget wise, but
Would you agree that the whole asset is a lot nicer than it used to be?
yeah, I think the park board's done an excellent job.
If you weren't on the lake, would you agree that the other people that live around the county that are taxpayers would like want some of the improvement monies to go other places though, and it's not that one big part right there?
You know, I'm not sure what you mean by taxpayer.
I mean, like, well, I pay the same county tax in Hamlet that somebody does over there, and I don't have a bass lake fees 5 minutes from my house.
Right.
But I pay for it just like everybody else. That's what you're saying.
You know what, I don't think the other departments did that. No, survey.
Is revenue generated by that beach beer slips. It's not.
Right, but it's also, but you understand, it's still all county. Yeah, so I mean, it's all,
Disagree.
yeah, so like, when you get money, so we're starting money?
They're paying for it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we get it, you know, towards the middle of this year, and like, we're gonna deal with whatever these pumps are gonna cost, we may run out of money and have to come to you all for actual tax dollars.
And right there's the prime example of fume cap. Of that fund, you know, it's for something.
But and this is just my view, I'm not speaking for the park board on this, this is my view, it just sounds like you don't have trust in the people you put in place on the park board to manage the fees that we're taking in.
No, what we're trying to say is you don't wanna over fund accounts and say, oh, hey. Let's put this account higher, just in case, hey, if you guys don't, you don't spend it all, you know, you have extra cash there to buy other things, like, that's not how government departments work. You understand what I'm saying, right?
I mean,
I'll go back to the park board, all I would ask of you all then is. Whatever numbers you don't agree with, tell us what the numbers you adjusted it to. And we'll have to go
I
from
do
there.
have a question on this liability insurance, like it was 2022 and 2023, it was 8,000.
No,
And then it went down
No.
5,000 and then now it's 11,000. Is that just to make up for the year?
no, I think it had to do,
Why?
you can double check with Rachel, but I think the increase has to do with. She was estimating a certain amount of liability insurance per department. And she found a better way to do it, to actually come up with a number that she was gonna charge each department for liability insurance. And that's the number, I think that number came directly from Rachel.
You know, I probably could explain this better, Tom, to where it's more easily digestible. Last year, there was a carry forward on your receipts of $59,000. That means we were 59,000 short last year, so that carries forward to this year.
What do you mean short?
In other words, short of making your estimate of bringing in 232,000 or whatever it was 59,000 short.
28, yeah.
So,
Well, I thought carryover was money that was higher than the amount that we had
Receipts.
budgeted for. Carryover isn't that higher?
unreceived balance. Anyways, so
Oh, shoot.
what it is, the way your fund works. Let's just say it was positive or negative. Let's do the opposite. Let's say, for example, you guys are $50,000. Then it rolls back into it. You still gotta pay if you're 50,000 short, you're gonna pay your bills. You know, like, they're not just gonna
I don't
wait.
think we were short now.
We can.
I don't think we were short one. I don't think that we were short. Yeah, I think we actually had a carryover, that was money, we're turning over to pay our bills, because we don't start receiving receipts until April, till our camper fee start coming.
Anyway, let's just be realistic here and go back and look at what you're taking in, because, you know, let's do it the other way. You're estimating then that you would be taking in $269,000.
I think it was 266.
On here is like 59.
Yeah, that really came from the additional,
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I had 66, but that's just 60.
But let me go back to 2024. You guys estimated that you were gonna take 228,000.
That's what we were, the budget allocated.
Allocated for us was, guys. Now, I didn't go back another year. But my report says that the unreceived balance is $291,000. Unreceived means to me means that we didn't receive it. So we probably, but we had a lot of things last year that caused us to be negative on your forecast. There's no way you could have brought it in, because we had to give rebates.
Well, we should have been bringing $290,000. We've never projected that.
What it would be is you projected 228, but I added 59,000. What that means is 59,000 just didn't come in, but we know why. We know we had problems last year.
So you're saying that we took in 59,000 less than the 228? I don't think that's accurate.
I'm not saying it's a penny. I'm just trying to explain
I don't even think that's
how the
close.
system works. You agree, though, that last year we took in less than what we thought we would, because we had a lot of problems that happened.
Well, yeah, because there were things that were credited and.
It was thousands of dollars. Right, so there was no way to get there. So you agree that whatever was short last year then would have been added to the negative amount that's forecasted this year, because you should have awaited that with your revenue.
Well, all I've ever been told is if whatever you project, if you don't bring it in, you can't spend it. That's what I've always been told since I got on the park board, that you can't spend any revenue that you haven't generated. It doesn't matter whether you're allocated it or not. If you're allocated $50,000, then yes, in your budget, you can't spend it if you don't have it.
But if something was happening.
We've never spent more than what we've had.
Yeah.
Well, you did last year. You fell short of your, plus you asked the commissioners, which they did. I actually recommended it, so I know.
We asked to get credits back from the money we spent for Troyer and doing the grant and all of that stuff, and you guys, you're right, you did refund that.
The bump is right.
You know, so there are things.
So there was probably $100,000.
So, anyways, but let's just go back to making a sound budget here, because this is what I'm basing it on, is what we spent.
So
Let's go back.
when we say a sound budget, are you saying the one we presented wasn't sound?
No, I'm saying every year, we did,
I mean, I just want to understand,
we adjust that, we just did the same exact thing with EMS, the same exact thing with the sheriff's department, and we do this with everybody. We're not picking on them.
but I guess where I'm coming from, the difference is those departments don't have an independent board that was appointed by the council, the commissioners, the judge, that oversees
What's that
that.
have to do with the budget?
Well, because part of the responsibility of the public board is to create the budget and present to you guys. You guys have the total authority to approve it, but that is part of our purview that no other department, I don't think, in this county has.
So they think because the statutes allow for the creation of that board, they should have extra. Or
Well, apparently there's, and I get it from Kathy Norm, but there is an account that we were gonna ask for this year so that we can roll over from year to year, so we will do better long.
So if we do that, if something goes wrong, do we take money out of that account?
That would be the purview of the board.
See, that's why, here's what I think, real quick, I don't wanna go into say longer. I would rather have there be a budget that is workable, everybody's out with. And I hate to see a budget where it, okay, there's that much money in there, let's just spend it. Well, you know.
That is not.
I'm not saying there is, but I'm looking at some of these increases and that's what I see. I would rather have this budget be $20,000 short. And
Right.
say, we need extra
But
money.
part of the reason for those increases were to take into account the additional revenue and the money that we were short, that we had to go to you all for last year. We're just trying to do a better job of budget management within the department, because that's what we think our.
But the thing is, if you were short, we should say, Tom, well, if you're gonna make more revenue, you guys need to pay that money back. That
Well,
45,000.
I guess you guys just have to
You
do
know,
what you think.
I want you to have a workable budget.
Yeah, you know, you're right, we do, Tom. So, okay, so let's
I
go
want
back
you to
to
have a workable budget.
So we're at 17,000, expended from 32,000, so the $15,000 balance, we're almost the way through. I'm not for moving it up to 46,000. In fact, I'm in the mood for a raise, at least a reduction to that. I don't know by how much, but, again, and then, you know, making adjustment or considering possibly looking at a second year where hopefully we won't have a train wreck this year and keeping it at 32,000, but I'm not ordering it up to 46,000.
Based on what they've expended so far, is it even realistic to keep it at the 32? I mean, should it be put down to maybe 25?
Well,
If we're going by
what I'm thinking is
expectations.
that, Don and I are gonna move with Jack Kent Agna on some repairs. We're looking at some long-term repairs. Otherwise, if I didn't know the deal they got going with the water problem out there, I'd say reduce it more. But I think that,
What's that really?
some of it's gonna get short this year.
Well, then, right,
So
we're
keep it
carrying a lot of
the same.
water right now, we're getting more rain tonight, so.
If you get to the-
I'd leave it for
The
next
water's
year.
getting into the collapsed drain tiles, which is causing.
Yeah.
With that, I have one more year of the same.
The other thing we just replaced.
Yeah, cause they got a lot that they use this weekend.
Yeah.
Money.
Well, they're getting more,
What else?
get more rain.
Yes, and that's come out.
And you know that, you've seen.
20-25.
Right.
There's no reduction because of the water. I get
Yeah,
it.
no, I know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which one do we take
All
down?
that.
I'm gonna drink.
Oh, yeah.
Dig a hole.
Stone and aggregates, like we've left that, we raised that up to 8,000 last year. They've expended, if once they pay the next bill, 46.43. Now, that's getting better and better. I mean, we've done a lot of work out there. Yeah, I mean, and you know, the road's better. I wish we could chip seal that way in the campground, though, just to make sure it doesn't start deteriorating. But, hopefully, we could have the commission talk to the park board about guidance about that, trying to maintain that road a little bit better.
That would
But I
help.
think if we left that at 8,000, there might be some budgeting there to chip seal that, because otherwise it's just gonna fall back apart, turn to go down the road. It's pretty nice right now, campground. So I would advocate for leaving that at 8,000. Now, postage, I do know the postage is shorter, 400 to 500 makes sense. That's why.
Yeah, yeah.
Office supplies are separate from postage. Yeah. Todd was trying to point out, and stamps, you know, mileage stayed the same. Service contract is a service contract. Like what Tom was
That's what I
doing.
think we'll do.
I believe that maybe with Troyer. I'm not 100%.
Service. Well, maybe.
Or maybe the internet. You know, maybe-
No, they're separate. I want to talk to you about that too. So let's,
So it might be for, what was it last year?
15 last year.
Yeah.
It's less this year, but I
No.
was curious, like who it's with and what for.
Yeah. Now, utilities is one that, you know, it's a gamble back and forth. You're at 10,800, but you're gonna have be at 19,000, so you must have a bill that's coming in. So 19,391, I think you're okay at 30,000. There's no reason to overfund utilities. And I think between now and the next budget, we should look at getting the meters put in. I mean, if we're gonna keep that a campground, if we decide we wanna make it a park and not a campground anymore, then obviously we don't need that, but as a campground, it doesn't make sense.
We could even ask Tom, ask the board to start.
It's a quotes, yeah.
It's about 50
Why
grand.
don't we do that? Why don't we start getting some quotes for that? Or.
Three if possible.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, the.
No, your board would do that.
Yeah, your board would do
We're asking you to ask the board.
Well,
it. Yeah, 'cause that would be a beneficial. Okay, so
So my
and
suggestion,
we've been advocating for 10 years, but haven't got any support to actually do it.
oh, I've said it for the last, I've said it all year.
I know, we said it for 3 years.
Yes, we need to do it. So, I mean, I'm in favor of it.
utilities, let's put that at 30. 30 is more than not fair. Internet though, I do have a problem with, because I do know what Tracy likes to do, year-round internet, we don't need year-round.
Well, and that's actually not true. That I think that contract was signed before she came on board. That was not,
Tracy,
I don't think it was.
I checked it.
It's with MediaCom is because I recently quit MediaCom because I had served as an option. MediaCom was charging me about $400 a month for basic internet service. And
It is fast internet out there, I will admit that.
ours broke down all the time. All I'm asking is that
We'll
was there
double check it, but
a service
I'm
that's
not
more
sure.
reasonably priced because MediaCom was ripping me off.
So that's what that is. That's $400 a month.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For basic internet.
All I'm saying is it doesn't need to be 12 months out there, you know.
Well,
Correct, but I mean, if there's a more
And I'd
reasonable
like to
price
say
service.
it wasn't Tracy who did it. If there is any blame there, it's the park board. The park board is the one that approved those contracts. Period. So let's get away from blaming certain individuals, I think.
I didn't know.
I'm gonna say, unless I was told wrong, I believe I asked if that, I believe Tracy, but we can check into that, but I just.
Well, I just don't think we need to be bringing up personal names and all that.
Really?
Well, not if it's not
She was the
accurate,
director,
not if it's not accurate.
I'm saying we'll check that.
Right.
I mean, obviously, that would be some overhead that, what's that?
And again, I guess I have to reiterate, because I am getting kind of heated a little bit here. This is me, this isn't the park board, so don't blame my comments on the park board.
Don't be easy. We're here to help you in the end. I mean, you know,
Okay,
it's really hard.
My question would be, I think the next thing we're gonna be hitting is equipment.
No, that's what I was.
Shouldn't
like,
that be
equipment.
something taken to?
Yeah, the equipment is at 7,380, but they must have something big coming in, so I.
well, I think that's a wrong assumption. What I tried to say earlier is the monies where we didn't have money to do the things that we wanted to do were in repair and maintenance and equipment. That's why we raised it, so that we didn't have to do that in 2025, because you don't know what's gonna happen in 2025. And that's all we were trying to do there, is take into account the fees we're bringing in and put it in those areas that we are short on.
Thanks, Wordle. Did you? Good job.
This is just another parameter though, where we've made other departments that have equipment requests come before the commissioner. So I think if we're gonna do it to one or two or three, it needs to be a standard policy for equipment, we need to come and ask.
But what I was meaning by that though was the expenditure, what I'm trying to tell you. is your budget, and right now, there's a 10,000 that must be coming
Oh,
in.
she says, I bet you're out there in that swimming pool. No,
Dispense. And then we would. So like the jump from
Juicy.
25,000 to 30,000 is just not necessary. I mean, like I said, there's still gonna be 8,000 left this year. And the only reason why I brought up the tractor thing was like, stuff you need like a pump, that's equipment, you need that obviously, but something extra that, you know, might be like, maybe the commissioners want to decide as the park board, and I'm just saying, pick it out of that.
Yeah, can we not ask for them?
But I'm just saying, using that as an example, because that's something outside of what you might need. Then the commissioners might want to be involved with saying, we want to spend 40,000 on a tractor. We should make that decision. We should make sure you have 3 bids. You know, what I mean, yeah, et cetera, you know. Doesn't fit with our, we have branding, we have other same brand and types, whatever. So what I would say is that we make an adjustment on that, on the equipment.
I guess I'm just asking, just because of what we've required of other departments, is there a particular reason that I just don't know about, but why we would give them even 25,000 for equipment when we're requiring, like other office heads and elected officials to ask for equipment on an as needed basis from the
There
company.
are some things that they do need, but like I said, I spent a lot of time with it too, so.
Yeah,
I-
I
it's
know,
not my-
that's why I'm
my
asking,
house.
because I
But
don't
like,
know.
for example, like they bought another lawnmower this year, it had, I don't know if it's gone into service yet, but there's a new lawnmower
Yeah.
sale, so I don't think they're gonna need a lawnmower next year.
No.
For example. That was 10 grand. You know what I mean? So I think, maybe there's some leeway there, so like I said, all I'm saying is personally, I'm not up for going up to 30. It's at 25 last year, I think there's room for some adjustment there. I'm just looking to the rest of the council and Don for input on where to go with that. You gotta admit, I think we've been pretty flexible so far, we really haven't cut much out of this budget. So, I mean, I know you not feeling real happy about it, but I mean, when you look at the numbers of what we spent, but when you think of what you bought.
But I guess I guess we're, at least from when Kathy Norm and myself and Tracy met, what we were thinking was looking forward, not looking back. The back part where we looked at was where we had to adjust money and not be able to spend it and have to come to you all for that money when we didn't have it in our budget. And those are the areas that we said we want to take into account the resources that we're bringing in, the equipment, the repair maintenance. Those are the areas where we were short. And if you think that you don't want us to plan for, 2025 to make sure we have the money, we don't have to come back to you guys. I guess that's your problem.
That's what we're planning for, is 2025, not beyond that.
What do you feel, Don?
Well, I guess, so it sounds like too, that whatever this account that Kathy Norm was talking about, you're not in favor of creating that type of. account.
2025, no.
No, that type of an account for the park board to be able to roll over from year to year, to be able to do that longer term planning.
If you start bringing in that kind of capital, I think you do that then, but right now it's showing that you're going over a shortfall.
I mean, my only
saying, yeah.
my only thing,
It's still, their money they turn in still goes to capital card. General, but then they can come back and say, hey, here, we turned in 30,000 and 50,000. You know what I mean?
that's what I'm getting at. I would rather have them have a budget. It is what they really need to operate. If you need a new whatever.
I think.
Come to the account and do it instead of trying to build a budget all
I guess, this is my personal view, maybe the park board would
But it's not.
just that's the way they contracted us, to take into account the money that we're bringing in to do that longer term planning. I think what you guys are saying is, do not do that long term planning, because we don't.
We need to.
In 2025,
June long-term planning, but know that you're gonna have to come and get approval for certain.
Just like
things.
anybody else. I mean,
Yeah, just like everybody else.
I mean, the high P in this, or they can't just buy stuff, willy-nilly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all. Yeah.
We definitely want to see improvement.
no. If you're actually gonna cut our budget that we submitted, you're not gonna see improvements. We're gonna be able to keep going and.
Well, that's your fault then,
Yeah.
because if you turn in the money and we see the money, then you can do improvement.
What kind of, do you see any revenue increases for next year?
Yeah, that's what this whole budget was about.
Yeah, that, I come in late, Tom, I'm sorry.
The whole budget we presented was trying to take into account and estimate the revenues that we're gonna bring in for 2025, because we had increased camper fees and increased, and a full year of revenue with the pier slips. That's the money that we submitted here for this budget on, not a penny more, no more than what we're actually projected to receive and bring in.
But how much, I guess I'm
That
at
went from 228 to about 266. What we're
about
expecting,
$40,000.
yes.
Thank you.
So I guess, here's my point again, don't take this wrong. If you're thinking that you can carry that money over and just use it however you want, I understand that. Well, if that's the case, you should have to pay back that $45,000 the county gave. That's why I'm saying this budget should be workable, so you guys can do everything you need to operate and keep everything top notch. And don't say you're not gonna get nothing else, because
Oh, no,
we've already said, all you gotta do is come in and ask for it.
Right, yeah, but each time I've been on the board that we've come and asked for money, the answer we've always gotten is go back and try to find it in your own budget. That's the
That's right,
answer.
but
That's the answer we've always
But-
got.
But when it's finally done, did we ever not approve it? Yeah, they paid the money to Troyer. Yeah, they did the pump. Well, they've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done it.
And I recall $560,000. I mean, I'm not trying to get anything, I'm just saying, $560,000 for the new improvements over there we did
Yeah.
last year too. I mean, let's not make it sound like the board's super tight and we try.
What is that? For the grant, all they grant matching money.
That was over $500,000 just so.
You guys gonna pay for that?
Where's she wanting
You
to-
can't. You
Or
can't.
is she wanting to cut?
And we're very, very appreciative. of
Oh, I'm
that
sorry.
grant.
But I think though, I think, Tom.
I'm so sorry, Bruce, I wasn't paying attention.
Maybe this is my fault.
So basically, it's like
but
office
just get
supplies, money,
communicated about, like,
15,000.
We're happy if it breaks even, what we have to account for is the
Repair and
dozen, but
maintenance.
also the improvements that
Office supplies.
we don't want to.
Or 1,500.
We're trying to look at it.
What we're
Right
kind of
now, based on what you guys brought in last year, we don't want.
32,000.
So we have to just be careful about the gap, that's all, like, perfect, like the commissioners and I can put the council saying,
I thought it looked like.
as far as that entity goes, if it does break
Utilities
even,
back
that's
down
great.
30.
We wanna see that, right now it's not, so we're just trying to
We're
balance
still
that, so we
trying to
can
figure
still
out what to
operate.
do here with
And we're
the
just looking, this is how you look at
But
any
that,
budget.
that
meeting.
can be,
Doesn't even
that
have to
can
be
be
government,
taken
Look at
care
what
of
you
in other
expend.
directions.
and then.
Well, I mean,
you
we're gonna
budget
settle
based on
it
what you
today,
expend.
but.
No, no, I'm
I know what
saying,
you're talking about
if they
doing it
come
based
up
on
short,
budget,
they
but
can
that would
always
only
come
be-
in.
you are 100%
And,
certain
yeah,
that
and that's not, that wouldn't be
those parts.
disastrous.
And right now, we just haven't been able to do that.
Right, and it isn't just, but we budgeted based on what we projected the revenue to be. And where we had to take money from last year or couldn't do certain things last year. And had to come to you all for in those equipment and repair and maintenance. So we wanted to be able to budget it for on the park board just so that we could take care of those things on our own when they come up. You can't know 100% what's gonna happen in 2025, and that's all we're trying to do here. If you all don't think that we should do it that way, then cut the number to whatever you think is right.
Well, the only thing I say about it is, Tom, you didn't have the money last year to do it, but you did it with the blessing of the commissioners and the council. So it's not like anybody's taking, we gave you more money. I mean, this is just like any other office, you know, the EMS brings in money. But if we told them, okay, EMS, we're not giving you any money, you have to go off the money you bring in. Well, guess what? They'd be out of business in 6 months.
Well, I agree, you guys reimbursed us for the money that we had expended out of our budget for the Troyer stuff for the grant. You did that. And you helped us with the lift station last year, at the end of last year.
Yeah, but we're statutory though with the park board, so like, you know, like what I'm saying, this is like, if we could break even, that's great. Problem is, there may be some future problems coming there, like you're pointing out too, the problem is though, is that we can't over budget for that, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. We increase some of your things
I guess
already.
I don't understand.
Well, it comes down to the end of the year, you get like in December, like happened before, and you go to pay your bills. You've already used all the money that you've appropriated. There's no money left in that account. Because,
So you guys make whatever decisions.
so, you know, you can spend whatever you want, but if you really
Well,
want
no,
to spend
you
what's in your.
can only spend what you take in.
Well, that's right.
And what was allocated. If we want to spend any more than that, we have to come
So
to you.
really, we're only looking at 3 lines here, and,
Yeah.
you know,
There's-
bottom line is,
There's what I came up with.
is that,
I'm looking at it.
is what I'm gonna say is, you're at 17.6 on a 25,000 budgeted item for your appropriation. I wouldn't wanna reduce it from 25, but I just don't wanna move it up to 30, it just. Otherwise, we're rolling the dice. Like, I'd rather see another year happen and see that you guys are gonna take that in and you're not gonna have a bunch of failures and having a bunch of expenditures, like I said. By the way this fund is set up currently by statute, it's great, like you're right, like the idea would be that you spend exactly what you take in, it just hasn't happened yet. I'm just nervous about, you know, rolling the dice and, you know, crossing my fingers that that's gonna happen.
But I think. I'd have to double check to make sure that what you're saying as far as the money is accurate, because. We always had money to be able to pay your superintendent, to be able to move forward in the first few months of the following year. Until we start receiving the revenue in April and that for the.
Because we have the money in the town already.
No, I don't see that. I guess that's where we maybe.
Yeah, if you had no money left in the superintendent's pay and it came time for her to get a check, you'd probably still get a check.
Yeah, it comes out
I
of.
don't think we were short. I don't think, I guess what I'm saying is Tracy and Rachel were really close together to make sure we didn't spend more than what we had. So.
I'm just going back again, we got a lot of more.
Yeah, I don't want to.
But the thing is, I'm going by what you expended, what I would say is, personally, I would say leave it at 25,000. Looking at one more year, which one are you talking about? I'm talking about 40102, like, I don't wanna take it away, because it looks like they will spend the 25,000 this year, once they run the rest of their year out.
So we're not-
equipment did they purchase with this year's budget? Cause I'm just
Well,
wondering.
you're right. One of the things is that lawnmower, and I'm just trying to think of other equipment that might come up, but we're not gonna be able to avoid expenses that have to do with the bathrooms, need a lot of work. We got the grant coming that's gonna cover part of that, but like, fixtures and things like that, get torn up,
That wouldn't come from. FEMA.
well, it would come from QCAP after they spend their amount. That's the
I
other
just-
thing too, is you're right about that. We do want you to spend 100% of that on the park before you come. Period. That's important too. Cause I couldn't get that across to Tracy last year when I was trying to explain that about the pumps. But you guys ended up doing that. You ran it all the way up and said, hey, we need the extra 3,500. So we do still want to try to break even on that, the way that fund is set up. So that's why I'm looking at your expenditure.
I just think that not for just the park board, but pretty much every office, if they have an equipment need, that should be something for the commissioner's province right there.
I think a lot of stuff in the office is probably what, copiers maybe, right? And
Well, I
like
mean,
the surveyor might be surveying equipment, might be a tape measure.
but didn't the
You know,
treasurer's
whatever
department
they
like
need
have
to-
to come before the commissioners like in the last year? So for printers,
Well,
I mean, they had to come and ask for printers.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying I'm not for increasing it, but the reason why I don't want to change the appropriation now is like this year we had a bunch of piers get busted up. You have to buy wood, you have to buy aluminum, you have to buy fasteners, you have to
Well,
buy
there's
augers.
no, that's not accurate. There
But
was
that's
no
repairs.
lot.
That's
No, no, I'm saying it could. I'm saying it could. Like if you have damage to the piers, like there.
They
those are
already
things that
have
are-
repair and maintenance for 40, we put it to 32. That was repair.
Well,
and
repair and
maintenance.
maintenance, like some of that's gonna go to paying the people that come out to fix it, because we have to get a vendor, like, we don't require the harbor master to do repair, like. they
Right,
have
but
to
you're-
exit.
You're just saying
Actually,
that like, well,
they just brought on somebody to kind of do that work, but it's more of a volunteer kind of a thing, so.
I guess though, that since they've expended 17,611, that's why I'm just afraid of dropping it below 25 on that. Even though, like I said, I don't think they're gonna have to buy another lawnmower. But 2 pumps could be things, right? I mean,
All the stuff we talked
Oh, for
about.
sure, the 2 pumps are fine. We're still waiting to see whether warranties on those pumps are gonna cover what we've had, but those 2 pumps right now are. The lift stations,
They don't have a.
They don't-
In the middle of.
They don't have anything here.
We talked about it.
How do they have it? I close the ground.
the thing is, okay, and I'm not trying
Drive
to
out.
necessarily analogize the park board to.
I don't think we're attracted.
Look at the spending debacle we had with the highway department.
Okay, very good.
But we're
Thank
gonna
you.
give $25,000 worth of
All right, thank you,
discretion to a board and not come before the commissioners. I think that, well, again,
I think that's I think in this case, this is a fairly minimal amount, just because I see like, like what it runs, what it takes to run the thing. That's like I said, that's why I'm not talking about increasing back either, but I think that, well, right there.
So it comes out to be like 6%. Maybe there's like a speed over now. Say maybe one, so.
So that's how we started to get off, right?
So, yes.
Yeah, that's why, there was enough to get started. So
I mean,
that's how we started the years.
Well,
There's a carry forward cash.
Okay.
Then we have left over.
But enough that that's how you do it.
Right.
but we don't wanna eliminate that, like,
No.
that still needs to be there too, because you start your year out.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying, but that's why my view is that we didn't spend more than what we took in. Now, you all did give us additional money. Maybe we would have went over if we hadn't done that with the pump stuff,
That's the point I'm trying to make.
and I don't disagree with that, but what you're saying is we tried to budget for those types of things in the 2025 budget, and you're saying no to that, that's all. And that's accurate.
We're not saying no to that, we're just.
Well, you're reducing it.
We're just reducing it, but not
Okay.
by that much, you're still getting most of it. It's just trying to be realistic
Well,
and keep it out there.
well, then just let us know what it is you reduce the numbers. So that we know what to do for our own plan.
241, 724.
Whatever you didn't agree
Is
with
that
us
what
on,
the
just tell us what it is.
or-
That's
And
$5,000.
where's that revenue, when it comes in, that we don't have budget, it just goes back to you all?
Yeah, but you can keep track of what goes back.
And you're saying no to a type of account that would carry over.
But it's up to these guys.
So after all expenses are paid, even a corporation, right? After everything's paid, the money goes back where?
Right.
You know, to the people who own
But yeah,
it.
but to do long-term planning, that's all we're trying to do as a board,
So
to do better.
I understand, but listen, so like that grant money we matched for you, you were long-term planning. You figured out how to do this. You come to us and, hey, this is what we need. And bam, there you go. I mean, it's the same thing. You don't really need to do in your budget. You really need
And the money we've got back.
Like, I just asked how you're like, how do you guys grade your parking lots and do all this stuff if you don't have a tractor? They said, well, you don't. Like, to me, I would think a park, I mean, I got tractors and now I have a park. I just got a little bit of ground. I would think you guys have things like that. And that's what
We would,
you know.
but it's hard to plan for that when all you're doing is trying to keep your head above water.
Yeah, sure,
And the fees that are coming in, and knowing that that's all the money you're going to get. You're not gonna get any additional money other than the fees you're bringing in and the.
No, I understand, but you do get
That's what
additional.
we're trying to operate.
Yeah, but you do get additional money when you ask. And that's all I'm saying is like,
Well.
I would never expect to be able to spend, if I was bringing in more money than my budget, why would I expect to have that money to spend? Why wouldn't that go back to county general to kind of offset some of the,
The three distinct parks are different and the park board is different and we believe the state thinks it is different. Because there are accounts that the state allows park boards to create that carry over from year to year so that you can do that.
yeah, but every time you come back, you don't have the money to put it over anyway.
yeah, I'd like to talk.
You basically have that already though, that's what I'm trying to explain, to start your year out.
Yeah, I guess we just agreed to just.
At some point, if you're making in excess of that, like you could pull that money out, see, I used to do that with the rainy day fund, and then when Rachel came along, she said, wow, no, we're not doing that anymore, but we would pull a little bit out of our budget that we had left over, put in the rainy day fund. That's basically what we were talking about doing, is having a rainy day fund, that way you pull that out of the budget.
Yeah, we're just looking at what the state allows park boards to do that long.
But I'm explaining to you what it is, it's a rainy day fund.
Well, whatever you wanna call it, but I don't know that the state allows other departments to do that, they allow park boards to do that.
And maybe if you
It's a
consider,
rainy day fund. We don't, what kind?
maybe you consider next year, let Kathy come explain what account she talked about. She did tell me she not this year. I mean, that way you guys can move
Yeah,
forward.
so I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we're not debating that this year. I mean, what we're trying to do is make sure that you still have the same cushion that you've had, because you still want to be able to pay people, right? Like, before you start bringing in money.
Yeah.
Like, you need that cushion. You understand that, right? Like, we can't knowingly let you be in the red now.
Well, I don't know, why do you question whether I understand that or not? I haven't debated any of that.
Tom, you take every single.
No, I take offense to it when you say it to me in a snide
I'm
voice.
tired of, was that snide?
I think it was.
I say we move forward.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna make the motion here. Fund number 4927, as published, except for the following: 20100 from 3,000 to 1,500. 20202 from 46,000 to 32,000. 30600 from 37,000 to 30,000. 40102 from 30,000 to 25,000. Second.
I'll second that.
Second, is there further discussion?
yes, I will vote in favor of this, although I still think that the equipment portion should be taken out completely. And when they need equipment, they should go before the commissioner staff.
Let me, rebut that too, 'cause what I need to find out, Cassie, is the way that
1,500
this
or-
account is set
I'm
up
sorry,
by
what was that?
statute.
25.
I think it has to change to a different budget structure.
Down to 8, oh, 13.
Basically, what would happen, that would be
Yeah,
okay.
this one right here.
But what would happen is then that would roll over,
No.
and then it would just keep rolling over.
Well, that's
the way
what
it's
I thought I
structured
had.
now.
Okay, I'll make a note.
Unless we set that account up, then they could pull from that and it would go into that account. This way it just goes from year to year, it just rolls over. So.
I'm
but the
sorry, I heard
problem
my
is
name.
that if they did have,
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
if they had any equipment that came up, it would be a problem. So I think the best thing to do is leave it that way for now because of that. And look to see if it was a change to an account like the EMS, that would be a different story. Otherwise, like I said, because of it's a reverting fund. So it's a little bit different. The only thing that worries me is that, just like with the reason why I was not allowed to do the rainy day thing anymore, is that you also have to have cash on hand for an account. And so by them having that carryover every year of some money, it allows them to pay bills before they start receiving the net revenue.
Right, the revenue don't start coming in until April.
That's my point. So if there's a carryover, so if you guys do set up that account, you'll have to take that into account about having some cash on hand remain.
Yeah,
That's why I ran into trouble with the rainy day fund.
Yeah.
Technically, it was our money because we budgeted, it was approved. But it got taken out of that account, put in the rainy day fund account, so technically it wasn't there anymore. So we were running too close on not having enough cash on hand because there wasn't enough there to draw.
yeah, the way I understand it is the park board can create the account, but the council has to approve it.
But I mean, even if we do approve it, what I'm saying is you'll still have to look at your budget. We will have to look at your budget together to make sure that we don't put too much in that account.
So
Because then it gets
I
short.
guess explain, one thing to me. So is revenue part of the budget? So are we gonna have to lower our projections for revenue to meet your number here,
No.
that you're coming up with?
No,
Because we've only budgeted the revenue we've
No,
projected.
what happens, let's say, for example, let's just make it an easy number. Let's say, for example, you budgeted with your budget 200,000.
Mhm.
We clipped out, let's say 20,000.
Mhm.
And let's say, for example, you brought in 200,000. That just rolls over back into your account again. It's 20,000 deposited. But you've got that money in your account and start paying your payroll that next year.
Did your projections for this year, are you gonna meet those projections?
Yeah, I would say we're close to be, I think we're gonna be over because, I think we're gonna be over because this year we're projected at, the budget is like 228 and we're gonna have a full year of revenue. So I think our numbers for 2025 came off of our estimates for this year.
My only
That's
question
why I said,
was,
let's look at it one more year and see.
didn't we get some equipment for you guys out of cap this last year?
Yeah.
I'm kind of following Cassie there. I kind of think maybe equipment ought to come out of cap as needed, rather than to be.
Well, but after they spend their budget amount though, is the point I'm trying to make, is it really doesn't go to a cost to the commissioners until it exceeds what they bring in revenue. For the way this fund is set up.
If you mentioned, I made a note to look up and see if there's a
Yeah.
statute that establishes or allows them to establish an equipment fund. If there's not, I don't see why they are gonna be permitted to do what really no other department in the counties they really
I think-
able to do.
We'll have to research this. I believe by ordinance, what we could say is that still has to be approved by the commission. But that money would still come out of their account up to their budget that they bring in.
Yeah, I believe the ordinance that created the park board was passed by this or any council.
It was,
in 2021.
yeah, it was. Yeah, it has its own unique way that it's set up. Now, I talked to Rachel about the possibility of converting them to a fund that's similar to EMS. Then it even has more governance.
Mhm.
The problem is the way it's set up right now, as long as they don't go in the red, it's not costing the taxpayer then unless like, for example, we didn't have that cushion and then they're running in the red and they don't have enough to start their payroll safer, then that's coming, till it, but theoretically then it could catch up. But if they over budget and don't bring that enough in, that amount in, that negative balance doesn't carry over. Somebody's got.
The money either, so I mean, if the money that we've always been told, if the money isn't there, you can't spend
Yeah,
it.
but
And if you do need something, then we need to come back to the commissioners.
There needs to be some carryover.
there needs to be carryover because you say you won't spend it, but if you do for some reason,
I'm just saying-
you're still gonna have payroll, for instance, to make, and you have to have cash carryover to pay it. Balance.
There's, I'm not arguing that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a ton, like that
You always carried over enough to be able to continue paying the superintendent, continue paying the utility and those types of
Right,
things.
yeah.
That's been.
And all we're
And
saying
we
is,
will do that maybe because the money that you guys reimbursed us for doing the trailer stuff and.
It's not really
And the lift
reimbursement.
station.
no, but next year.
We spent it
Yeah.
and you guys gave it
It's
back.
capital.
We might have a better feel of it next year, though, like the second year of a row of you having full amount of revenue, that'll be a better picture of it,
I don't doubt that.
you know, but.
Yeah, that's.
You can pay for the meters, you take in so much, well, you can take that out of yours, but when you do have expenses for the stuff that's above and beyond,
Well,
that's a different story.
with the problems that we're having with the sewer and all of the issues with the drain tiles being collected, that has been an issue there since the county took it over. But we're never gonna resolve that. We're never gonna resolve that lift station issue until those gets fixed. And we can't fix it with what we have.
And that's why I said, let's stay with what you got, you know, that's all, like, I think we were more on the same page that you think. I have a motion, a second, all those in favor, aye?
What was the motion for?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'll remake the motion, I thought, for Fund 4927. A reduction of 20100 to 1500, which is 500 more than last year. 20202 to 32,000, which is the same as last year. 30600 to 30,000, which is the same as last year, and that's utilities, like that shouldn't be inflated, because according to what you guys have used so far, that doesn't need
Just
to
tell
be
me what you
increased.
deducted, I know.
40102 to 25,000, which was the same as last year, which I think was the same things that you had.
That's why.
So all those,
Because I feel like maybe kind of like.
yeah,
So you know what, can you at least let us know what these numbers are and then what the total
I
is?
didn't get an opportunity to vote nay.
so one,
Until I can research the ordinance and a possible statute regarding this equipment number, I'll.
one name. Okay.
Thanks, fair enough.
Okay.
That's why we do it next.
You done?
No,
Oh, God.
I'll be done.
I guess we'll just go back in order now, so starting with.
One other day.
What?
What'd you say?
Yeah, we might as
Any
well
of the money they make,
just go through the
they
steps.
have the opportunity to spend. They don't go into county general.
He's running it.
That way, but it's
Yeah.
Their shortfalls, but they want to keep their surpluses to control.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clerk, we just start on page one, we haven't done the clerk yet, we just started county general, and start moving through.
It's so screwed up.
Yeah.
Just one on the 12, we already did that.
Yeah.
Those are all your separate funds, where's your? General fund, those are all. Sit in with mine.
It's been a day.
It's been waiting here all day too. Should we just start with treasurer?
I'm good, take whatever you guys.
I think that's why you should.
Well, no, she's thinking like, yeah, I thought for her watching.
Well, she's our incoming treasurer. She might have.
No, no, I was trying, yeah, I know.
That'd be the third.
Yeah, I was just,
Okay, you have.
We just started the clerk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna vote nay on that.
Is that the first one you guys dealt with?
That was a bad repair with her.
Well, it was already here.
That's why I said I was trying to go.
Okay.
He just called.
So, within the clerk,
Pam for nothing.
looks like the main increases are payroll. But extra help is added, the other ones are 3%, so the other question is. No, why not? 15.
He's sitting there posting, I can't move. Thank you.
It's a non-presidential election, and I don't know, I went back there, I don't have any idea. That much.
We're on the first
I
one.
don't see any.
That's all. Sorry, we're on 001.
There's one out there, sir. I mean, Dave.
Honestly, she's compliant with everything else. She's not actually asking for increases. The extra help. I personally don't feel like we need to call her in for that.
No,
Especially Susan this policy. Okay, somebody want to make a motion about 001?
I'll make that motion to approve that as presented.
We have a motion from Cassie, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Tony, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. The auditor's budget, Sarah, is there anything you want to tell us? I'm looking at it, looks like it's
We have
minimal stuff.
Yeah. Shit.
HR
I think the
increase?
extra help was padded, but that's.
Oh, that's just part, I think.
Yeah. I know.
Are you supposed to talk about the night meeting?
Is that in here? Yeah,
He
we
has it as a line
Yeah, remember
item.
separated it? Yeah. Stable counts lines too? That's right.
No, an elected official can't get that, so if you were gonna roll it in,
Oh, yeah, that's right. We have to
Is that-
separate that out or something, right?
the way it seems now, like. I guess, an elected official can't get a stipend or a,
Yeah, because
you'd either have to
so we
roll
can
it
do-
into the auditor pay,
the job.
or you leave it and,
When somebody else does it?
yeah, I think it's the two options.
Auditors already. thinking, I think, and all of the departments.
I don't think I feel comfortable with increasing the auditor's pay by that much.
No, they're already, I think, just based on a cursory look, it looks like the auditor's annual salary, if we approve it as presented at 56, it's already more than the other
Yeah.
similarly situated offices.
Yeah, it's like 5,000, so over 5,000 more.
Right.
Yeah, you might want.
Is that why?
Yeah, it's already
Is
5,000.
is that why, because that money was put in there, then it was taken out, but it wasn't taken out of the auditor's pay?
It's, if you look at what the auditor's salary is compared to like the treasurer and the other
So that's
elected
about
offices.
There's some other in town, yeah, but I mean, to have that plus the 6,000, I'm just even sure, I'm not comfortable with adding that right
That's how
now.
they're paid now is.
Because by statute, they're actually the recorder for this board and the commissioner,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right. There's a secretary for the, commissioner and council.
What was said about SBA, if there was like extra money or something, but
That was it. It's the night meeting, the comp for night meetings.
they don't
But they're not
want.
allowed to get that. Either that has to be put into their salary and they get compensated for that. Or they don't get it at all. It's just part of their job description.
So did we spend all that last year?
Yeah, I mean, they get it.
It's just broken up by 26 pays.
Okay.
apparently.
So is it, so what you're saying is, so that's added in, so it should only be 50,000, but they added the extra 6,000 in, or you're saying?
Normally the salary is 56 and then it was added on because we have night meetings.
So we push it up to like 60.
For example, we don't have to have a night council meeting. It could be a day meeting, like it's our choice to have a night.
Yeah.
Do have.
Yeah, this is a day meeting.
Yeah, we had a day meeting today, right? But I mean, like, you're right. So theoretically, she wouldn't get paid for today.
Well, yeah, everything will just be part of the
Long
duty.
meetings or night.
Yeah, so they,
Oh, that's true, yeah, so there's no way to get around the night pay. So I guess the question is do we feel like the 64? Because the prudent thing to do would be what they're guiding us to do is to get rid of that line and either make it disappear totally or add it into the salary.
Or was it the option that you leave it, but you don't like pay the auditor for it? Like, it wasn't it that as an elected official?
Yeah, he's an elected
can't-
official, you
you're
can't.
not-
Can't do it, but that
Or
is,
someone-
that would be just assuming a deputy wants to do it,
Right.
which is a roll of the dice, because it's nice.
so we have to create a salary ordinance for all that?
No, it's already there.
In the salary ordinance.
Yeah,
It's in the salary for the deputies?
No, it's
Money?
in the, no, right now it's in the salary ordinance of
Yeah.
the
I'm
auditor.
saying we would
I
have
see
to
what you
create,
mean,
we
yeah.
have to create a salary ordinance for that.
Or just don't do it, it's still a pretty good.
Where it's
If you look- if you look at
higher
the-
than all the others.
Yeah, it's already higher than everybody else anyway.
you're from the auditor's department, what's your opinion? If you don't want to give your opinion, you don't have to, but if you do want to, what's your opinion about it?
It's okay, everybody likes
You
it.
can abstain if you want to.
Yeah. I guess I don't really have an opinion on it.
Okay.
I
Don,
can't-
you have an
My
opinion?
opinion is no different than overtime. Other officers get overtime if they work over.
So your opinion would be to add the 6,000 to the
Yeah,
Six.
or half of it at least.
Except for elected officials,
I know,
they'll
right?
be overtime, or don't be paid all the time.
Just, I mean, the girls.
Technically, she would never have to come to work until we threw her off.
We'll take it out.
Yeah.
Take it out.
Take it out of your-
But leave it in there for part-time for the deputy, and it's up to the auditor that wants to work it.
Other things. So what if we bring it up 36 and just make it 60 for the auditor for next year?
You hear that,
The
Dave?
leads the remainder.
What if we just make it 36? Don said split it. What if we make it 36, just make it even number and make the elected official pay 60 for the auditor starting next year?
Or like I say, we leave it in there in a, somewhere, you could, up to the auditor, if she wants her to the deputy to work.
Yeah, I believe that.
Right, but then she's still working the over, like you made a good defense. But if she decides to do it, she's working over and then not getting paid
But
for
there
it.
is no overtime for
Treasurer
elected
has to
official.
stay
That's what I'm saying. So maybe we make it up for it now. I mean,
They don't get tax season extra pay.
Yeah, that'll get us.
It's not fair to the other offices.
treasurers don't
I'm with you on that too. That's why I was talking about maybe bumping it a little bit, but then, so maybe you guys are talking about taking the. Well, I guess the 54.77
She makes
was
it
already
pretty good.
bumped up by 3% then if it's at the 56.40.
Yeah, it's, I mean, it's a pretty good wage already. Everybody else.
I mean,
is on 50.
statute says that
Getting
her-
Anyways, for
Her
being
job,
out
I don't know what the repercussion is if she doesn't follow the statute, but I mean, I'm not trying to be, a jerk.
So let me play devil's advocate. Can she say she's not gonna do it?
What's the
By
statute?
statute, she's our secretary.
Yeah.
I'm
she
saying,
said,
and not
so
how can she do it?
All right, so it sounds like there's a consensus just to remove it. Was everybody agree with that?
Yeah, it's still a pretty good wage. You can, let's say if you look what the wage is to 56.4, I mean.
All
if you
right,
took
let's
it
roll
away,
the fight either way. Yeah,
You're still gonna.
You're still got the same wage as somebody else.
so I would say let's not touch the rest of it. Is the
We don't see anything.
training, like. All those kind of things, obviously, longevity might still be in play if they caucus in somebody that has been worked for us before, correct? They pick that back up or does it?
About longevity starts over.
It does, okay, well, you would know because you're the HR person, so,
Because we can take.
so does longevity need to be funded then? Theoretically, not, right?
Well, for the other.
People. Let's not touch it, then, just to say,
Let's leave that alone.
Don't have anyone getting it. Yeah, that number should be fine.
yeah, but it will actually be a little less because the auditor's not gonna get longevity, that's caucused in.
I think that might already be, yes, but I think that's already gone.
Gotcha, okay, so it sounds like that if somebody wanted to make a motion, it would be just minus the 6402.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah, I'll second it.
You got that? Motion in a second, is there any further discussion? All those in favor, aye? Is there any opposed? Okay, so before we open this up. All right, so are you saying you're okay with this number?
I'm okay with the same number everybody else.
That's what, okay, what are the other ones? What's? $792 or $797,
Whatever, whichever.
but that's plus 3%.
Well, this is minus like 10%.
I'm agreeing with you, but what I said is I get a text message about this.
Yeah. What about it? I mean, it should be, what's everybody else's? Same. The recorder's 51. Okay.
What are we looking at?
Okay, so let's move on to treasurer 003. Wise.
So for some reason, the extra help was cut 1,000. Everything else is pretty much the same. First deputy's pay was cut. Why is that?
Good question.
Why is the elected officials wage dropped by $7,000?
Actually be more than that with the raise.
$767 if you add the 3%.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was just.
But my
trying to figure
question
out
is
what that-
why?
and the first deputies was dropped as well.
$2,744.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Nobody else was.
I think we should take 2024's number and add the 3% on
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah,
that should be
I
the number
agree.
we adopt for treasurer and also the deputy.
Okay, is that your motion?
I'll make a motion.
I will second
I
that.
have a motion and a second. All those in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? So it's the elected official and the,
So let's see, 0.3%, I get $1,493.91.
what's the total for that on
It
that?
should be the same as the other one.
What was it, Cassie?
49797, just a second.
Seems like there's
$51,290, but please check my mail, lawyers are famously bad. at it.
Did that motion include the extra help?
It did.
No, yes, I would include that. It's the first
I thought that.
deputy's salary should be 39,496 plus a 3%.
Which is what?
Let me see what that is. 39,496. Okay, so 3% is $1,184.88. And when you add that, 39,496, $40,680.88.
We don't pay too bad here.
And the extra help was cut $1,000 for some reason. I mean,
It's the extra help.
no, he didn't make the most on that.
Yes,
No, I made it on the first deputy, but
Oh,
extra
sorry.
help on
Extra help.
Lincoln moved that should at least be what it was last year, because I think.
Don't have the status report, but I'm okay with that. So
Yeah.
are you amending your motion to include keeping that
Let's
the
just
same?
include the extra help.
Because everybody else.
Being
went up.
$9,000.
And the mileage has been cut. Is there a reason for that?
Where's the mileage?
Because it went back
Yeah.
to 2023, 2022, it was all the same.
That could be
That
based.
has to do on how much was spent, like,
No, I don't know how much was spent. I'm just asking.
I'm just saying, it probably was spent, based on that, I'm guessing. I mean,
I don't know, 'cause we don't know how much of the extra help was.
well, but you're
Alright.
adding that to your motion, right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm just trying to get a reason why it was done.
okay, so the amended motion added the extra help.
And the
Sorry.
first deputy.
We already had moved on the first
Yeah,
deputy and the elected official.
Like the first deputy and the president this year plus 3%.
Yes, and then the extra help stayed the same as last year.
So,
So 3.
what about the lockbox? I mean, it was on there before. And then it was off last year. What did we, what did we have a lockbox for? I mean, it was gone last year. I just wondered,
We got rid of that.
yeah, okay. I mean, yeah.
We never used it, I think is what the problem was.
So everything.
Good. Yeah. Okay, we're going to the recorder, 004. I don't think I saw anything there. That was crazy.
Not really much there, right?
No. The only thing I would say on the recorder is I think, I'll make the motion for 004 that the only change that extra help stay at this year's amount. And well, we got Mandy here, actually.
Oh,
We
yeah.
should let her speak. I didn't realize she was.
And swimming pool.
Yeah.
Does it open the public?
Sorry, guys, I was trying to find my unmute.
Who's asking about the public?
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, do we have somebody on there also, just so we know who's online, because we just heard somebody ask about the meeting being open to the public.
It's just, I have my part-timer here in the background. I don't know what she said. Sorry.
Can we walk downstairs?
Okay, we just heard somebody ask about open to the public, we just didn't know if there was a question about that.
About swimming pool.
No, I don't have a question about that. So we have been back indexing quite vigorously, and then with the pay raise, I just added, I think it was 3% to my part-time as well, because we went from $13 an hour to $15 an hour, which gives me less hours, less with the pay that I had.
Yeah, but last year we gave him a 10% raise, right? And it was the same for 2 years in a row, right?
I'm okay with it, except for the extra help.
It don't matter, I mean, it's not that.
So when I started 6 years ago, we were back indexed only to the year 2000. Right now, with her working 2 days a week, we are back indexed to the year 1967. So she is working, she is doing a great job of back indexing and getting stuff done. And she also fills in for when I cannot be here or Jennifer cannot be here or we are at conference.
I'm okay with everything but the extra help.
And I also took out my postage,
Absolutely.
my
For that, I'm gonna
mileage,
bring it up in the
and
public.
my office supplies and put them in my perpetuation fund.
I'm okay with the extra help. I mean, she's just trying to keep the person there for the same amount of hours and sounds like she's made significant progress in that back indexing. And then to be able to have someone to fill in, like she said, with the increased salary, she needs extra money to just cover the hours that the person is there.
I have also taken 3 things off of county general and put them to my perpetuation fund.
Right, she said postage and
Last
that's a
year.
savings, probably more than that.
Having postage since 2020.
That's been done since.
Is the postage
it's been
that's
done
listed,
5 years.
Mandy, where it's listed for 0 all the way back to 2020, is that because you put it in the perpetuation fund?
Yes, yes.
And what other money?
So last year it was postage and mileage. And so then this year I took postage, mileage, and my office supplies and put them into my perpetuation. And it looks like I'll have to put my education also into my perpetuation, depending on what's decided as far as our elected official training fund.
So the office supplies you have listed on this proposed budget for $1,000, are those not in the perpetuation fund?
They are supposed to be, yes.
Oh, so it should be 0 there? For
Yes.
2025, okay. Sorry,
Basically.
that covers it right there.
You want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the recorder's proposed budget 0004 as presented, except that the office supply portion should be listed as 0 because she stated she's put that in the perpetuation fund.
There's a motion on the floor from Cassandra. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Kay. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Okay, we already did the sheriff, so we'll go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mandy. We'll go to 006, the survey.
Yeah, that's first.
Because why did you ask the question? Yeah, I did. He said they'll only have full authority. He goes, if they don't want to play nights, you will. Go Southfield. Good, okay. There's a note here that says overall increased 8%. So let's take a look. The elected official looks like.
Prior.
Elected official looks more like. More than 3%. Yeah.
Oh.
You know anything about that, Don?
Sure. So I think when we did this, there is a statute that addresses this. And what the statute says, I believe, is that the surveyor, if the surveyor is licensed and registered, which we haven't had a licensed surveyor in this town since Bob Smirk. And I mean, God bless Glenn for going to all his classes, but that's not gonna get her a license. That's a 4-year degree and 4 years work with somebody, so it's at least 8 years. But what that says is, it says a licensed surveyor will get 1.5 times the pay that we put. And I think what we did, we based it off of giving her or him 75% of what it was.
I remember all that.
Right?
Yeah.
But did we promise to increase it
No.
by big amounts? So it should just be 3%, right?
We never promised it, I remember, because last year,
75%.
you guys raised it up more, and I never voted against it.
So that's 43 plus 1290. That'd be 4490, not 46.
Remember, Dave last year, I raised it up and I voted against it.
44,290. Sorry, you're right. 44,290.
So why was it reduced in the first place?
Because of the statute.
She doesn't.
So the statute had changed the year that you changed? it,
No.
or had it always been?
It's
that?
always been like,
And why were past surveyors paid that if we weren't following the
Because it was
statute?
never, I think the only one they up bill.
Nobody
To
addressed
do that
it.
all in my test or something,
yeah,
when Grace was there.
And, but he shouldn't have been because you have to be a licensed,
Well, as we found the state board of Accounts, a lot of things have been done that shouldn't have been
yeah,
done.
you have to be a licensed surveyor, which is a 4-year degree.
yeah.
So,
Oh, but that was right, we did, at one point, we did give Bill Crace more.
I remember.
Because he went to some classes or something.
Yeah.
Right now,
Right.
which we didn't bump him much.
But the statute wasn't followed then, and now we are following the statute.
it has been for the last 2 years. When it came to, I don't know how it even came to our attention, maybe Justin.
Rachel brought it up,
We did?
Rachel,
Yeah, Rachel,
Yeah,
okay.
she was.
Probably heard it at a meeting or something.
right?
It looks like that's the only thing really that we would be curious about, everything else, he's got it dialed in. Does that mean you wanna make a motion, Kate?
Sure, I'll make a motion to.
What did we change it to?
44,290.
Yeah, to change the elected official 44,290 from 46,440. I marked it out. Is that what it was? 46,440.
So that's the 3%.
That's,
You got it? We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Cassie, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed?
I,
One nay. Okay, coroner. Might only be 3%. Utilities, mineral, autopsy, oh, we know autopsy fees are going up, so I'm not gonna argue that, but I wonder why where did the utilities get moved to? Where did the morgue rental get moved to? Any ideas, Don?
No, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take the reduction. Did she increase something else that maybe?
Yeah, the autopsy fees.
we knew that the autopsy was gonna.
Yeah, that was kind of increasing.
He's actually wanting to add on the building stuff.
That's really the only.
The utilities might go up if you add on.
Right.
Maybe call it.
Definitely that with the.
That's everything of any nature.
Yeah, just, yeah, maybe she's from inside that.
Yeah, maybe we should talk to her, find out what's going on.
We could ask Hoosier one of them, maybe.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. We got plenty of space out there.
Right.
You guys forgot.
So where'd the,
Might have to have her to review it for us,
so
so.
where'd the chief deputy go? There was a long time ago.
Because we changed the pay for the deputy.
Okay.
Yeah, see how it went from
Yeah.
16?
I don't
Yeah.
think I
Yeah,
can
okay.
prove it without the utilities on there,
About what?
without the utilities being on there, because I could.
No, I agree with you. Bruce.
Grab this later,
Yeah, they're calling.
because I imagine when we increase the size of the building out there, our utilities are probably even.
There was an error.
It is there.
He said she was pretty flustered.
I'm guessing it's gonna be at least 5,000. Morgue rental's probably still gonna be 500.
And there's more grant housing for utilities
750.
and more rental 500.
Is there, does she have a separate meter?
Because if you take the autopsy fees addition off there, it's actually $4,000 lower.
Yeah,
It was a year
it's
before.
what she spent this year. It's what's budgeted. She didn't have 2 jobs, we'd have to spank her.
My phone does that like.
What, do you wanna keep it at 5?
Well, even what's
Or are you
on,
saying 6?
no matter what.
Better remember her addition.
Go to 6 because if you get.
The addition, yeah, that's, okay, so we'll,
It says,
and 6 and 500 for the morgue rental, right?
and 500 for more rental.
How much for the
Utilities is 6, did you
Yeah,
say?
6.
Okay.
You're okay.
Yeah, it makes. more sense.
500 for more.
Okay.
So that takes
So-
it to,
Just so everybody knows, 30600 should have 6,000. 30801 should have 500, otherwise,
So what's the total for that?
100,000. So that makes it,
I could have done that.
101,051 or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Is that right, Bruce?
That's what I got. You want a motion?
Please.
Yes,
Yeah.
I move for 0007 with the additions of the utilities and the more rental to be approved as presented.
You got that? Is there a second?
6,000.
I'll second. A second from Todd, is there any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Is there any opposed?
1,500.
Yeah. And then the prosecutor's budget appears to have gone up pretty substantially. One 45 or 193. Let's see, where is it?
Trial preparation.
We didn't approve a second clerical assistant.
Well, you find out.
5,000 in office supplies.
I think the
Probably that
if they're short.
Had zeros, so not.
she was able to find that.
You can't believe we never.
Yeah, we already funded the deputy prosecutor though. That's the thing. She just hadn't, she hadn't hired that person.
Yeah, wonderful. So maybe a little spat was a good thing.
But there's nothing there for.
No,
the
the
secretary.
deputy prosecutor was already there at 65,000. It's 10102.
Right.
She just hadn't ever used it till recently. But we never agreed to add a second clerical assistant. We took that away and we said we would give you we took that away and then we said we'll give you the chief deputy. It's not our fault that wasn't there, but.
If it wasn't funded in.
Right.
23,
Right.
too.
But that was it's because we traded. So, but we did fund the deputy prosecutor.
Her budget's up over $48,000.
Yeah, I would,
Got a new office supply
yeah,
request too.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm that nitpicky about the office supplies
Yeah.
but I would say we didn't approve the second clerical assistant. The commissioners haven't been involved in creating a new position, haven't approved it. I would say that we approve it. And we do it minus the second clerical assistant. What about the other things that we never on? Fall corporations, 20,000. Oh, wait a minute, okay. Victims Advocate 17, there's another 40, almost 40,000, 38,000 there. It was never there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure
three.
why it wasn't before and what did. I mean, I know.
See, it's paid $5,000.
She reduced the legal secretary.
40 to 0. And then I'm just wondering if
Yeah,
they're.
well,
Yeah, you're right,
secretary was down by 46.
So she reduced by 36,000.
Which would be file preparation for victims advocate. Hold on a second, bring up 03, you're right. Let's bring up 032 at the same time. Comes out the other ones. Let's just make sure it's not coming out of our other fund before she switched it around, you can see. Yeah, go to 032 and put it side by side. Just so we're not messing around.
Okay, triple.
What they do on corner, then.
What is it, what's it?
We need to talk, make sure. that
We did. We got.
Oh, I'm sorry, page 14 and page 4.
They called it.
Once again, there's a second picture for two of
That'd be a hell of a short.
them. Then two clerks are added there too, yeah. Actually, three.
Well, that's
One's
The legal
$190,000.
secretary is going.
Well, legal secretary probably is what appeared over here, when the prosecutor is what I'm thinking.
We're on page 14, but what are we looking at, Dave?
Sorry, sir, 032. We're comparing 032 and 008.
They've taken away the 4D supervisor caseworker that took 40,000 off. Oh, I
So I think that she was gonna make that a clerk.
look it down at the bottom. Well, yeah, a $96,000 allotment for 2024 for 4D caseworker is now 0.
Yeah, that's the second clerk. Yeah, she didn't, and honestly, I don't know what you're required to do for 4D, so hopefully that everything's gonna be kosher there. But yeah, she did say she was gonna take her 4D and make that person a clerk instead. Because that's what it is. Yeah.
So she's got a second clerk at 98,880. Is that the same as the second clerk over here?
It's the same as the IV, I'm sorry, the 4D caseworker just became the second clerk. So that's the 3% increase to 98,880.
My question is, why does a
It's-
caseworker need $96,000 if it's,
You have 2 in there.
oh, there's. I was like, damn, I'm.
Yeah, it doesn't say that, it doesn't say. It's two seconds. So that's a wash right there, back and forth. Okay. The other one would be actually took the legal secretary and made that the second clerical assistant that we never approved. Right? Actually, the one over here that's the new one is the
There's a.
So
part-
she's second, she's. I'm looking in there. On 0008, yeah, there's a new position on 008, but it looks like.
Assistant.
That's the legal secretary, because
Yeah.
that's gone.
Yeah, that's gone.
But we never approved the second. Did we?
So
We did one for top, but I don't remember what it was.
legal secretary
because you
was
didn't have
36,000,
job
so now we
description. I had to
have.
bring.
Trying to
Figure out, never wrote the job description, did she? But she never.
Hold on a second. What I'm trying to figure out though is, like, so the child support budget only went up 8,000. But we've got a 48,000 increase here, so like, the reduction, the trade-offs aren't adding up for some reason, we're missing something here. Because that is what she's trying to do, this
Child
trade
preparation's 20,000.
Oh, the trial preparation.
8,000 extra.
And the victim's advocate is 18,000, right there it is.
She's added 50.
The victim's advocate was the one we didn't approve of coming back, because before she made the victim's advocate a clerk.
Do we need to call her? Maybe? I mean, she was here earlier, but
Yeah, she was.
I don't blame her for not hanging around for
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah, I don't know that she's at work, you can just get her on the phone, she doesn't have to come in.
She had said it's not her that.
Oh, okay,
You want her over here? or-
Sure. yeah, but what's it,
Jamie, is it maybe you're able to come over to the budget? Yeah, what should I need this? Okay. I think just from going from 008 to 032. And who, like, that's blocks, I think. There's no clarification.
and the 48,000 extra, that's.
I think so, yeah, because some are going, we're at 008, and some are at 32, and
Combine the two.
Rachel's not here.
Oh,
I know that she
lived all these years without 20,000 in job preparations, what is that?
Guess it's.
Sorry about that.
We do trial prep, it's, you know, we're just, we bring in all, it's not like all kinds of extra supplies, and that should be covered by the 5,000 extra she had in the office supplies.
Can we do this? Can we leave that while we're waiting for Jamie then, just because we're gonna be here late? Old jail maintenance 017, like that to me isn't a big deal. It's, do we need to nitpick it or does somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve old jail maintenance 0017 as is.
I'll second it.
Motion is second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Well, I went through Tori with this EMA budget. It's a small increase.
Yes, it's only, it's not even three.
You want to make a motion?
Well, I would like to say, when you had me stay with that trailer, we talked about that.
Yeah, we had.
What did you add it? Cause I mean, then I don't know if I told you, end up having to fix a valve stem and they're spare, they have no spare in it.
Hmm.
So you need to make sure you're giving something and like.
Yeah, she had an extra 500
Yeah,
to
extra
work on the
5.
trailer.
I don't know what you.
You want to make a motion then, Tony? For 0018?
Yeah, we can do a motion for 0018 for EMA. Everything the same except add the 500.
It's on there.
Where's that on there?
Yeah, garage and motor, 1,500.
Oh, is that what it was under there?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I didn't know if she had something extra for the trailer.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is?
Is there a second? I'll second. Second from Bruce. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 0019, election board. Obviously, it's a lesser election, so let's just quickly look through each line just to be prudent.
Yeah, so there won't be, yesterday there won't be anything municipal. That's it. There's no other.
All right, let's look at 21.
It's off here. Yeah, see, 21's got like nothing, see? It's gonna be,
Yeah, that's too
it's
much.
an off year.
But do we have anything going on in the city?
No, the city election was last year. Hamlin election will
Yeah,
be,
the city election was last.
I think Hamlin has an election maybe
School
this
board.
year.
I thought, but Hamlet's adjusting theirs though too, where they have, it's not gonna fall on years.
Yeah, but they have one,
That one more, that's not gonna be 120,000. We budgeted 34,000 in 21.
yeah, there's some reason that. Well, why is it? Yeah, see, like that, the precinct board meals and all this other stuff, you wouldn't need all that stuff, would
No
you?
way.
Yeah, I don't know.
Make a motion to table 0019 for our next council meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Bruce. All those in favor, please say aye. EMS, we already approved, right? Yep. Purdue Extension, that's just one that stayed, that's where that's out of our hands. If somebody wants to make a motion on that.
I'll move to accept it.
Motion from Bruce, I'll second that. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? Planning Commission. Planning Commission looks like 3%, 3%. No problem with their change. Per diem's the only thing really.
The only thing that's,
The rest of it's all pay, right? So I don't know. Does somebody want to?
I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna beat my dead horse about in line for equipment. I still feel like equipment requests should go to the commissioners.
Yeah, I wonder what that is, equipment, it's probably office supplies, it's gotta be.
Then
I
it
would
should be
think.
listed.
Oh,
They supply, they have 1,200
But
bucks.
that could be the thing is, I mean, if they're out there doing things, and they put stakes, and that could be wooden stakes, that could be ribbon, and some stuff you can't, I mean, it's $500, right? So
That's not a big amount.
it's hard to come in and say, hey, I just ran out of ribbon to tie out the stakes for a septic. I'm gonna wait. I mean, maybe.
They do have their own vehicle. I don't know if they got vehicle expense.
Yeah, it's there too, but it's, there's been more building permits, so it's tagged.
I know, I'm saying, it'd be advertised.
So is somebody willing to make a motion on that budget?
I move.
Motion from Bruce, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Kate, is there any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? That's all in favor. All right, so back to the prosecutor. We're just trying to figure out your guys' flip flop between child support and prosecutor, and then it looks like there's some extra there, so.
So.
You can, you want?
I don't think she wants to.
Not really, but okay.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, so, never done this before. Which budget are we looking at?
So you're looking at 0008
Okay.
and 0032.
So what are you questioning on 008? So I can.
So 0008,
Mhm.
go back to it myself,
That second
It's a
clerical is.
$48,000 increase.
The second clerical assistant?
Yes.
Because, they sent me over. Sarah sent me over that Courtney should have been making 38 too. As, Rachel actually said the same thing. As a secretary, so I bumped it to 38 too. Like I have.
Yeah, they're,
Okay, but it wasn't budgeted in 24, so did you move it from something that was going on in child support?
So. Okay, I think I understand it.
yeah, they're the ones that.
So there were two different places. Under second clerical assistant, it was called legal secretary. And so what Rachel had been doing, so there was money last year under this legal secretary. Under the 008 budget.
Okay.
But what was happening was Rachel was moving money from. The legal secretary and paying it
Okay, so
into.
legal secretary became second clerical,
Yes.
is what you're saying. Okay, okay, we're good there. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, and that's 3%. Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense. Okay, so, then there's still 48,000.
We only for the trial expenses because, to be perfectly honest, we have burnt through our pre-trial diversion budget. Very quickly, and we're, have had more trials this year than we've probably had in the last 3, so, witnesses, like the ones for the resulting in death case, that has $3,000 just for him to testify for an hour, one day. So it's for
Like experts. and
Yes.
Stuff.
But it went from 0.
We didn't have any budgeted in there at all, and it was all coming out of our PTD fund, but we don't have enough money in our PTD fund.
So
to do
what's
that.
PTD been going towards? Like, is it PTD, but doesn't PTD generate by the amount of cases that you?
PTD generates by how many PTDs we give out.
Right. which
And
is
that's dependent upon what qualifies and who doesn't.
That depends on the offenders.
I mean, you can't, I don't understand how we're supposed to budget anything based on possible charges and people who might qualify.
I see what she's saying, because you don't know what kind of defendants are gonna come through you here.
So
There could
Rachel
be a
said,
lot
I
of
want
hardened
to-
felons and nobody qualifies for that version. Then there could be a lot of people with their first time offense for possession.
So we've been paying everything out of the pretrial diversion fund for the last few years, and it is just gone. Like I think there's some in it now because I recently transferred some money from the Knox City pretrial diversion fund back to our PPD fund. So we added trial expenses, they've never been there before, but we've never had as many trials either.
And actually, well, I know, like sometimes one expert witness can cost $10,000.
The one of the
You know, right?
dealing resulting in death cases
How much
was
was in there now?
$3,000 just for the hour that he testified. So.
Were there other ones you guys had to call other than that person? Like, can you look at like, so far this year, what, you said 3,000 for one, or have there been?
He was right at the end of last year also. We haven't had too many trials that we've had to call a whole lot of witnesses for yet this year that cost a significant amount of money. But we still have to pay for like the witnesses, lunches and all of the expenses that go with that stuff too.
Do you guys send, because I know the statutes with subpoenas talked about, or maybe the talked about a witness like paying their mileage and like a witness appearance fee. Do you guys have to cover that?
Not that I know. I'm super.
Yeah, pretrial diversion.
I am super new to all of this
I
stuff.
need to pull up 4907, everybody also, sorry, it's in your stack, 4907 pretrial diversion.
I was just trying to fix some of the stuff so the auditor didn't have to pull from one to pay it into another to write a paycheck.
Yeah, it's just not washing completely, it's a problem, that's what we're working on. 4907.
Maybe we should table this.
I don't mind to answer more questions. And actually, the 0032 budget probably went down like $25,000 because
No, it went up 8,000, yeah, definitely well, nothing went down. That's a word thing, and it should have gone down, yeah.
did we upload the new, like I had messed up the 0032 budget. And this is the one I sent to you on 7/3 was the one I thought you were gonna update because where it talks about second clerk, where it says Crystal and Haley. It was 98.8 and the one I submitted on July 3rd dropped it down to 76.4.
Yeah, it
So-
says 90 and all that.
Rachel sent these out before. Okay, so I did,
So can you walk us through 032 real quick, let us know what each line should be?
yes. So 032 should be, the first clerk, Sherry, should be 41.2. The second clerk, which is Crystal and Haley, should be 76.4. The longevity pay should be 1,500. HERF should be 20,600. Health insurance should be 42,000. Social Security and FICA should be 12,360. And office supplies should be 5,000. So it should be less than the budget before.
Makes a difference,
Mhm.
and then. Just running through 4907 real quick.
Oh, that's fine. Can I ask you a question about 4907?
Yeah.
4907, in my understanding, is not money actually that you give us, it's money that we generate out of our PPD fund, and I have to put all these categories. And I have to put all these categories in here just so
That's one of
when we
the
have money in
things.
there, I can pay stuff out of it.
Correct.
Okay. I just trying to understand.
Yeah, which I guess, I don't know, like, you guys have always bought computers, it looks like you're planning on changing a bunch of them next year.
Well, last year we ended up having to buy Matt and Leslie 2 new computers, which cost us $3,000, which we paid out of our PTD fund because we didn't have any money.
Right,
Yes.
but I mean, what are you planning for this year that's 10,000?
In case some of these stuff breaks, like this is just money in case.
No, we get it, we just want to see if you're like expecting
No,
something out of
nothing
the ordinary.
expected, just in case,
That's why we don't like the money, in case we'd rather have, you know.
just in case.
So let's leave 4907 then, but let's make it part of what we do action wise, council. Let's go back now to 0032 and 0008, because something's still not right with 0008, because it's still offset by too far.
I don't, the problem is I don't have a last budget, like, I don't have it,
Yeah.
I never got it, so,
We have it, so we'll tell you, we'll tell you.
okay.
So you have in PTD, that's what I was wondering, because I knew you had trial preparation in PTD. And so like, not only do you have your 10,000 there that you possibly might have, but then you added 20,000 to 0008.
Because the 20,008 is actually money that you fund, that the county funds,
Oh, I know
correct?
where it's coming from.
No, I'm just, I guess.
Yeah, okay, I see you're asking.
From myself to get.
Yes,
So that's why we put it in that one, because what if we don't generate enough money to cover all of the court, all the trial
So it's
expenses
cushion.
out of our PTD fund?
that's okay, I was wondering, I figured it was a cushion, so
Okay.
I. Second clerical assistant, plus the legal secretary.
Mhm.
So office supplies, you left them in PTD, right? And then added 5,000 these office supplies.
I did, because same thing, like. I feel like I mean, we'll generate $5,000, I would assume, in PTD revenue, but. I mean, if we didn't, and we still needed stamps, envelopes, paper, just office supplies to run the office,
Is there a statutory like, or a statute that states like what you can use PTD funds for? And I'm not sure.
There would have to be, right?
You would think, some of that's in my lookup list.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that and again, I just started doing the budget and the bills and all that kind of stuff, so I'm.
So how have we not need victims advocate dollars for a long time, even from PTD, but all of a sudden you're budgeting 17,000 for victims advocate this year?
So again, I've not done the budget prior to this year. I just know that, this year, when I started working with the budget, there wasn't the 20% match for the victims coming out of our 008 budget. It wasn't budgeted in. So I moved some of the deputy prosecutor money to fund the 20% match for Lori for this year. And that was okay because Mr. Lemon didn't start until now. So we had the money to cover it, but it just wasn't in the budget last year, which is why I added it in.
So what is his position, Mr. Lemon?
Deputy prosecutor. So he's the first one.
That's the one we approved last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's why I don't understand why we're adding the victims advocate down there now. That doesn't make sense.
All I know is that it didn't get in the budget last year. That's what Rachel told me. It wasn't in the budget last year, so I moved money to help
Hasn't been
finish
there for a
covering
long
it for
time,
this
has it?
year. And so I added it in the budget for.
So do you have anything in front of you that tells you what you spent this year on victims advocate and maybe last year?
You mean how much the county needs? I don't. I don't. I also just got access to money bags and I don't know how to use it yet.
Yeah, right, but I just thought maybe you knew that, but you said you moved it.
So I had to move. Rachel had been moving money to pay the 20% match. And so I ended up moving the complete chunk to finish the 20% match for the victims advocate for this budget cycle.
So it must be like 85,000, that's how it comes to 17, like in that neighborhood, like it's 20%.
So out of Mr. Lemon's $65,000 salary that was budgeted for this year, right? He didn't start until July 1st. So half of the year's salary was still sitting there that we weren't going to use.
Okay.
So I transferred some of the money from the deputy prosecutor line to cover the rest of the victims advocate 20% match for the year, because that was the only place I had extra money.
Where's the 20% go to? I mean,
Well, where's the victims advocate?
we've never had that in there before, not for years.
No.
Again, you'll have to ask Leslie that question. I don't know the answer to that. I just know that it wasn't in there last year and I was trying to get the budget all.
It hasn't been there
this
for,
year.
it hasn't been there for years, actually. The victims advocate,
It was there in 2022.
yeah, but it was in there for $5,400. Before that, it was there for 2,400, then 2,000, but 23 and 24, there was nothing. Then all of a sudden it goes up, 400%.
Yeah,
I mean, I
It's like
just,
slush money to me.
yeah.
I had mentioned earlier, we tabled one
Yeah.
budget, we tabled this one.
I think
Good idea.
I mean, I don't know the answer about why it wasn't in there last year, because I didn't do it, but I put it in there because Rachel said it wasn't in there.
I hope we don't take.
I'll make a motion to table prosecutor 0008, child support 0032, and then fund 4907, which is the pretrial diversion.
To our next business meeting,
Yeah.
somebody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Second from Bruce, all in favor, aye? Aye, any opposed? When?
That's your third Monday meeting?
Yeah.
In August?
Yeah. Okay, so the next one would be
The night.
019, correct? Election board. Thank you. Very good, everybody.
Thanks, Jamie.
No, we.
I screwed up.
No, it's right.
I thought we tabled this in, we'll put that one forward. Sorry. Yeah. Election board.
Our next one would be
And that's
drainage.
extension.
Drainage.
You're right, drainage board. 0023. It's exactly the same.
I make a motion that we approve 0023 drainage board as presented.
Have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Bruce, all in favor, aye?
Further discussion.
Any opposed?
Drainage board.
Hold on a second. Kathy has the, sorry.
Okay, so I was looking through all of, throughout all of the categories, looking at attorney's fees, and it's my understanding, I might be wrong, that we have the same attorney serving in all the positions. So when you add up the drainage board, 3,500, commissioners 50, the BZA 3,726, and the council 10, that comes to what, almost 70,000?
I think you're right, I'm pretty sure Autumn's the drainage board
Or
attorney.
is she? Okay,
I'm pretty
all
sure.
right, so.
I don't know.
I think that's Autumn,
know.
I don't.
Hey, isn't Autumn the drainage board attorney?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
It was just, one of my general thoughts was, instead of, maybe we need to look at the attorneys that we're paying, if it was just one person, a little more broadly.
That's right.
Instead of piecemeal, where
You're right.
we might be over. Never mind.
Anything else? All right, motion second, all those in favor, aye? Any opposed? 0024 veterans, very slight change, it looks like 3% only. Actually, motion from Bruce, is there a
I'll
second?
second it.
Second from Kay, is there any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Commissioners?
The only thing I see in there is the inevitable insurance.
Yeah.
That's $100,000 right there.
Fair board, a little more.
And then the other
Fair
one,
board.
so scary. Well,
What was that, Kate?
yeah, that's.
Fair board, 12,518.
Well, I thought that the 12.5, they needed to come in front of the council first to give us the project. And then you would approve it. Is that gonna be the same thing for next year?
We would still appropriate it now,
We appropriated it, but I don't think
and they agreed to doing that.
yeah, and I'm not saying that. The only thing I'm saying is that, are we under? I think we need to forget about having representation on there, but I would like to have them come
Yeah. I
and
think
tell
they-
us, so when people ask, we can tell them. I'm not.
Yeah, I
trying
think
to-
they're okay with that.
Yeah.
Do we ever know how it turned out, Don?
Not mine wise, I don't, I know I've heard from two other people, it was awesome.
Yeah.
But I don't have that. I'm just gonna find out.
There is a good fair, I wonder how they did with the contract.
It is.
Since we had those discussions,
Instead of us doing like 18, if we would say, hey, we want to build you a new bathroom or two over there, and we'll do it over a period of 2 years.
Position.
I could
on
ask them that,
House
but
wanting
the 18,
more
their
involved with their
insurance
board,
went up
and
18
maybe
grand.
that-
We need more.
But they just gotta come, they just gotta come in and
I wanted
ask,
to-
of course.
on the
And
record.
I sure like
I
to
can
get some
tell
of that.
that.
And I would gladly support.
My question though,
From
before
the
we
economic development portion.
All I'd like to just see is do the bathrooms out of solar money.
Yeah, I don't care, but I need.
All of a sudden, it just-
the extra legal fees for 15,000, I just wondered what that
Where's that?
pertains to, under commissioners towards the bottom. Because they
Legal
pay
fees?
the attorney, but then there's a
Oh, yeah.
budgeted amount of 15,000.
That's in case Todd offends somebody and they get sued.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
Legal fees, okay.
Where is that? Okay.
Go at the bottom.
Have they spent anything on that?
Legal fees?
I.
That's the portion of the attorney. Like we have legal fees under the council.
Is up at the
Right.
top, attorney 50.
Oh, I'm sorry.
and legal
Where's the
fees
other one at?
15.
Legal fees is down on the bottom.
That's where I wondered if.
Third
they-
from the bottom.
any
Yeah,
expenditure.
legal fees 15,000.
That must be, is that for additional,
I thought for
Legal
extra,
fees?
I'm not positive.
I would think.
you know, it's over and above it.
Like for example, I'm sorry, yeah, like the, I don't know if I'm allowed to, I can say the name of the case, like well, I'll just say what it is, like, for example, we have an ongoing case in Coos Lake. We had the case where, commissioners approved me to work with an attorney for Cisco. That comes from those kind of things, but
Okay.
other things that come up,
Reasonable.
yeah. Which I will say that the return on that's been pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
With the one that we did with this, Sharp.
So is there anything out of the ordinary there other than the health insurance going up? The $100,000?
So.
So also the bill insurance went up, I mean.
Just one other question. A lot of these are just because I spotted things that I didn't spot last year and paid more attention over the year, the discussions we've had. The $2,000 for animal control. Cause I'm like, no, we don't really,
You know-
we had it.
Honestly, when we have more money, I'd like to look more effectively at animal control. We don't have the money this year, but when we start having more money, we need to do something different.
I agree. I just wonder like currently, like what.
Even if it's more of a partnership with the Humane Society and become more of a county humane.
They
Society.
actually asked me for, well, not them personally, but one of their workers asked me if we would support giving them some money, donate.
Humane
I
Society,
said, absolutely, if you build it,
yeah.
somewhere that also can
We
leave.
got 2,000 already right there, yeah.
Well, that's what that 2,000, I mean. I.
But is that 2,000?
Right.
Because that animal control, I think of the surveyors and the trapping and the things like that.
Sometimes somebody's dog kills a geese or whatever. too, I think
Okay,
it comes
then
from
it used to be the township.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's a township.
Township.
The township does some of it too, but the county gets roped into some of those animal kills too.
You know, real quick, something that me and Jack had just kind of talked about earlier this year was they were talking about doing something with an app for the dog control, getting it like partnering with them, or animal control, but having an extra person to like deliver the papers for them, like a part-time, paying like Taylor's part-time wages, and also let them handle the animal cases, which is just something to talk about.
I not think we should,
That way
we
you
should
kind of-
get something better.
Yeah,
for
officers
animal
out there
control.
delivering paperwork all the time, you could
Yeah.
use a part-time. But it's something,
We can better afford stuff.
yeah.
We need to be
Yeah.
improving in this. I think we can do a better job of it, you know, I mean. Even if it's helping having some of the animals out there have a longer lifespan, I'm for doing more for animals at some point, if we can afford it. Bruce, with your questions on that, were you interested in making a motion?
I've had my share of animal problems on the farm for 72 years that I've been living, and I have a real hard time with anything other than animal control being caught and thrown in the back of the truck.
Yeah,
Forgive me,
sure, yeah. But, well, would you be interested in a motion on the whole commissioner's budget?
would.
Okay. Would somebody like to second that?
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion? No changes. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed, nay. And I believe Don said he'll talk to the fair board about coming to the council before we
Yeah,
spend that money, but. 0026 courthouse maintenance.
Let's see.
I don't see anything there. You know what?
Less than 5%.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm real impressed with Rick's work.
I think he's awesome.
Yeah, I really was worried about trying to replace James.
Who is Rick?
He's head of maintenance.
So under the janitor,
Yeah,
Yeah. Just for an example, the courthouse bill, we paying someone $1,000 for 20 years.
yeah.
Rick fixed it.
Oh, really?
I
We-
think
he's
it-
been-
He's got a lot of experience.
a title other than janitor, I'll tell you,
Right.
because based on what you're saying, and when I saw this, I'm like, why is the janitor making more than all of the elected officials? But if he's actually like the head of maintenance and everything, that makes much more sense.
Yeah, he does good for our town.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve 0026 as presented.
I'll second.
Is that Cassie?
Mhm.
Second from Cassie, is there any further discussion? All those in favor, aye? All in favor, sure. 0027, we did already, correct? So 0028, annex maintenance.
No, right there, something.
Right here.
So is this janitor a different janitor?
Yeah. We're gonna get shoved over here.
So,
Yeah, Rick could be maintenance or
um,
something.
thing with that is that that would be money for, to actually clean the buildings, to hire someone like 2 or 3 days a week. To keep your buildings clean.
Did the commissioners approve that?
The big
What's
increase.
that
Did
now?
you guys approve that, to have an outside cleaning agency coming, so these guys don't have
We
to?
can check into it. Are you talking about part-time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cause there's like Sean over here wanting a bunch of walls built. We did the one which is done in the auditor's office. We can have Rick do that stuff if he's got someone to take his spot.
This would be
You know what I mean?
hiring like a part-time employee.
And he don't wanna do it full-time. He just wants that money so he can use it part.
So I guess I would just ask, just to play devil's advocate, why would you guys just be willing to do that as needed with cum cap? Or one of your funds, like,
And which would have.
cause it's hard to fund it for the whole year.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I can talk to him.
Yeah, next,
We
I mean, I'd like to see us get that wall built in the planning
I'm looking
commission.
at your annex maintenance.
We have that, but I don't have a second for it.
mean, also,
page 12.
Page
so
12.
part-time worker, what are you gonna do with that?
thank you.
It should go away, right?
Oh, the 25.
Has
I
to go away.
Yeah, I would say do it without that, and then the commissioners can make the decision on how to manage it.
Didn't you have some in there? You're gonna leave that?
Oh, yeah, let's leave him what he has.
Yeah, 3,000 in there.
What they were saying was.
You need a motion, Dave?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion with 0028 fund to leave it as is with the exception of 10218 part-time worker. Drop that from 25,500 back down to 3,000. Everything else as is.
And then contract it.
Yes, yeah, I'll get to the,
Let the commissioners control it.
I'll second that.
0029, the court.
yeah, hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor, aye? Any opposed? Sorry, all in favor is there. I know, 0029, this has actually lasted 2 hours longer than I thought it would.
It's parked.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, by all that time we spent on the park, it gave Bruce time to catch up to us. He was probably hoping we were almost done when he got there.
So the quote is way up, we'll find out.
We've had a couple of discussions with the court, but really, I don't know that there's a whole lot of. The reason being is that some of the things that he changes are statutory, but. The jurors, we know that, yeah, there's more jury tax, like he warned us about some of this, I'm just looking to see what. Some of them that might have been. I'm surprised he didn't raise pauper attorney fees, but maybe he's.
We did raise that last year because I think we took away equipment last year
Okay,
and said that, those sorts of things should come before the commissioners, but we had reallocated the two things we had reduced and then we put it towards the public defense fees.
I think the big jump is under third probation officer. But it's probably gonna be subtracted,
And there's more than 3% raise too.
It's huge.
To. 1.4.
We were already
85. Yeah. It's like 5%.
I think when it comes to certain things, yeah, but I don't think that's just a full sweep of every single thing.
Keep away from what?
Hold on, I took over your spot.
That's a senior.
And the other thing I'll say, I was gonna ask, when we talked to Leslie, she had, I think, $7,000 listed for law books, support has 1,000. And so I'm just, for both departments, I'm curious about those charges, because I know Lexus and Westlaw charge fees, but I know that we also, like, if you're a member of the Indiana State Bar Association, you get free use of Fastcase, which is a search engine.
Right, because it went electronic, that's why we went from 4,500 to 0.
But I'm
that-
saying, and it could go to 0, I mean.
There must be something that came back.
Maybe people prefer this.
That pays more.
Mainly just the
And
pay.
I think that was 7,000.
But there was also that extra, it seems like there's an extra employee in there.
Yeah, that third, how did the prosecutor go so much? That like over double,
Did he
Yeah,
tell us
59.
something about the probation officer?
so. That's where it's all at.
Well. Planning commission, we already approved, right? Just I see the BZA people coming. What,
0.
What do you do for?
I guess the question would be, so the judge seems to have raised his raises to 5% rather than 3% like we instructed everybody. Is there anything statutory that governs the rest of his employees that you know of?
Probation is a little different, because they have, there's a state probation schedule.
You talk about under the court, yeah, but it was the probation was like 10%, right?
Yeah.
I would move that
5%.
we table the court and the remaining ones that we haven't addressed yet, since it's 4:20. And our regular meetings we just started.
We're in our regular session right now.
Ah,
We're they're continuous, the way we advertised it.
all right. But I mean, I thought we need an editor on the probation, but there's a statutory schedule on probation. And whether the other people there.
Let's do this. Why don't we move past the court for now, just so we don't table too many? Let's call them, see if they want to come today. If not, we'll put them on our next agenda, but let's keep going though. They're almost done.
It's just for the record, that was.
There's a motion to table, you got a second. Motion to table and a second to table the court for our next meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? So that's 3. So let's try to get through the rest of these. The rest of it, we should be able to move through and we only have 2 agenda items, so. 0030 is the BZA. I think the only change on that was changing the administrative assistant to full-time. So Mary, you want to come out and vote?
So we don't know.
I guess the first discussion on that too would be if the commissioners have been involved in it, and are you?
I have a little bit, we haven't, it has come before, but it as does today, I don't know, remember that ordinance we signed there.
Yeah.
That's gonna be, now they gotta start,
Water.
doing piers all the way around the lake, and so if we do that, we're definitely gonna have to have more people.
So the BZA person will double as a code enforcement, should this person?
No, it's more full-time.
I'm gonna need somebody in the office full time to help with
More online from the.
all the extra permits I'm gonna have.
So then when John's talking about, won't even bother these, then.
Shut the door.
Okay, yeah, the new ordinance, yeah.
No.
Big Rockford Creek,
Okay,
she'll be able to help you in the office and she'll help.
So she'll be doing a dual job, she'll be BZA and like. Half BZA, half
I'm just
planning
using her
commission,
for an example.
basically.
That needs to be spoken.
So now,
Well-
she's the.
So I do have a job description that was made up.
But will she be able to help with the permit?
let me throw something out there, just because I did this to Mary back when she was in a similar position. What's the possibility of running a person up to the maximum on part-time?
Kind of where.
And not great.
That's where we're at now. I mean,
She works 4 days a week, yes.
Right, but you're only budgeted like 16,000 or something like that, right? 16,000. Yeah, 16,000. That's what I mean, like I just planned, because you know, that's what I did to Mary years ago. Like, what's the alternative of just increasing the ability to pay more part-time versus, because don't forget, the benefits are double. If it's 37,000 pay, then 37,000 plus its benefit.
The issue I have with that is though, when I like plans to take a vacation or like earlier this year, I had to have 2 different surgeries. And I was out and had surgery and then I come back to a ton of stuff that's I gotta catch up on. That I need somebody who will be able to fill in my place, even when I'm not there. And especially with, because we're talking like, for instance, Bass Lake, from what I've been told, has over 400 piers. So each one of those is gonna need permitted. And I mean, even if we do a minimum permit of say
What's the revenue?
$25, we're talking it's gonna be $10,000 at least, and that would be if we did $25. per permit.
That's just what was actually.
Merit,
Are you talking, you want her this year, or you want her January first?
January 1st, Yeah.
So,
January 1st.
Yeah, it seems pretty good budget. What's up to the commissioners? We're gonna go against the hiring freeze and hire somebody. Make a new position, right?
She's already hired, but I just need the.
Yeah, but
extra,
they still
yeah.
have to.
Creating a new
Right.
job.
Yeah.
That'd be another position, salary ordinance, that'd be approved by the commissioners.
Right.
Because there technically is a hiring freeze.
Right.
And you're hiring really a new employee because they have a new
Right,
job,
yeah.
everything's different, so.
I don't know if it's cart before the horse or vice versa. I mean, they're still gonna have to get our approval.
I think tonight she was just worried about the budget.
Yeah,
You
so,
gotta start.
so if we're theoretically gonna take 10,000 in, because I mean, that's the
No,
thing.
that's if we charge $25. I don't know what they're going to charge for that permit. They're gonna have to charge something for it, you know, so.
Because just that leaves 46,000 more in the budget though that we still have to. Yeah.
That's not including boat lift, not including shore station, it's not including any of those, and those are all gonna have to be permitted.
Because that's gonna cost the county at least
Not
fifty
just
thousand
Charlie one.
And that's
Right.
something new.
for that position. Probably more than that, yeah.
Be the one more. If you don't make any of us mad at you, you're gonna need all the.
What's the
Exactly. usual fee,
For
like,
sure.
you know,
After
other
January first.
fees charged for that?
So they just adopted the Freshwater Lake Preservation Act, and that got updated in the ordinance that went before the commissioners today. For the
Yeah.
floodplain ordinance, and flood damage prevention ordinance. So it's something that all counties are kind of, especially northern counties, because that's where you're gonna have your freshwater lakes. Are gonna have to deal with this.
Where's the part of that?
So
It's probably be.
There's nothing.
that's the letter from the DNR
So where are they, how are they paying?
that states that they
They
will
get
have to be
16,000.
that
Piers,
Oh,
seawalls,
that
shores.
payment. Yeah.
Oh, one for me too.
I got one for everybody.
Yeah.
It's a budget here, not counting. This budget here, not counting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
So much.
I don't know if you want to.
I don't know.
That's from, yeah. Email chain I've had with
The
them.
biggest problem is just insurance costs us so much. You know, that's the bad thing, because if we bring her up to 35 hours a week, for example, still cheaper, you know, as soon as we get to 38 hours a week, it becomes another 37 or another 40,000 for benefits.
You know, here's another thing too. They've also, now, it's required too for our office to have a floodplain, manager. And that's something that, I went to class for back in May. So it's put a lot more work on me too. And I mean, honestly, it's something we've needed for a few years and, you know,
Yeah, me too.
it's.
I got one more question, Mary, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
So you take her on, And then January first is Bo's gonna tell me he needs another driver, and then put another truck on there, right? To help with all these permits.
I say that
You know what I'm saying?
probably part-time, maybe when they start putting piers in by April to May or whatever they try to put them in.
It's one of those things where we're gonna, I mean, we're not 100% sure, you know. What it's gonna be like yet, so we're trying to take it one step at a time.
Wonder who the state rep is in charge of the DNR.
Yeah.
I know President in charge of the highway, but.
Yeah, just keep that in mind.
This is coming out.
We need to find the biggest.
Information where we are permit wise right now. For past like 5 years.
One of the representatives, that's where one of them could have thrown this little line side into that.
I'll follow a lot.
You just sign the orders.
And like this top page here, this township reports. I just printed out June and then last December because it had the whole year basically. If you look towards the bottom, the total number of permits where we're at. By this time next year, we're gonna have a lot more than that. With this new ordinance.
And we got another solar project coming in.
So. And then, behind that, you're gonna find for the past 5 years, basically, what we've taken in over the years. And then there's the types of permits that we take in. And,
Is Center
How much
Township
they-
number low because of the city?
yes,
Okay, thank you.
there's 12 sections in Center Township.
I looked at that and I thought, oh my God.
Communal jurisdiction. So those ones, if they're in city limits, we don't take the permit at all.
Okay,
If they're in the 2 mile jurisdiction though, we have to get approval first from the city. And they send us over a certificate and then. we take the
Mile
permit.
too soon to go away.
yeah. They fall into that 2 mile.
Right on the edge of it.
It's not fair.
Oh, we get one representative on your
I
plan.
guess the main thing would be just where the pictures are.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Yeah. So I think the main thing moving forward with this would be, do the commissioners want more time to look at this, get all this over?
I just don't wanna hurt them on their budget, is my biggest thing. I think it'll go.
Well, we got time, we're only in July. I mean,
Okay.
It's next year, it's for next
Yeah,
year,
it might be,
right?
Right.
just so I can
I
ask
mean,
other
this is
people.
something that, I mean, say at the next commissioners meeting, you want me to put in front of them to get approval first.
Well, they should really approve it, because we're.
That's fine. I
Because
just-
we're hiring another employee outside of the so-called hiring freeze, right?
Right, but I think he wants to get a feel there, like where we would be, like, 'cause otherwise.
Cause that's basically why I'm here too. Because I've done that before where we've gotten approval from them, but then I got told no here.
Actually, what we did was we only gave you part-time
Yeah,
hours.
yeah, we didn't know,
Yeah.
so the partial, you know.
We put you right up to the
Yeah.
ledge. There's a lot of work there. I think they're showing that there's a lot of work. I mean, let's,
I just don't like how, I just don't like.
I mean,
spending money.
the council gives, the council take it away too. I mean, like,
Right,
we're a right to work state. If we came back and we said, hey, there's like not enough work here or whatever else, I mean, it's not an elected official. We could delete it too.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, they've got a lot of planning to do here with all these permits and stuff that they have to start planning.
Well,
for.
let's-
They need to make them wait.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's look at that.
There's nothing.
Yes.
Is there anything else in that budget that you can cut out that
No,
help?
but we need to find somewhere to cut some like that.
Not in that budget, but,
Yeah, who's the other one?
I mean, that one's pretty skin and bones as it is.
I mean, that's just a lot more work. I mean, from a-
100%, I think they need, I mean, if they're gonna do this.
I don't want to say we approve it contingent on the commissioner.
Yeah.
Where's the proof?
Let's put that in the,
The solar standing alone,
the
right?
social security money that come out of the commission, that's gonna change their budget.
Well, that's the thing is that number right now that's there, do you know if it has the numbers based on this increase?
No, we can't.
I mean, it's not gonna throw off a multi-million, that either by 30,000, but it's
30,000.
Would you accept a motion contingent upon the approval of the county commissioners?
I'll accept that motion. Would somebody like to second it?
I'll second.
I actually think I Tony beat you on that one, Kathy, but it was more of a quiet nod, but would you like to have any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
I'm gonna say,
Is there any opposed? Is that good?
I finally got Todd to say yes.
Look, yeah. I understand. So much, so. About your equipment, you got it 75. But I think you told me it was paintings and stuff like that, so I just, there is a lot. Okay, so, thank you, man. I got stuff to do. This is after two, we did, council 0033.
We already did the soil and water?
Yeah. Oh, 31, I'm sorry, you're right.
I mean, there's,
Oil and water is one that we usually just approve.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anything.
Yeah, soil and water. I don't get soil and water.
I got it.
I don't know how to do it.
I got that as a sheet, so I'll second somebody. What's that? Yeah, I'll second somebody's motion.
It was fine.
Weird. I know.
Second from Bruce. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, it was. You put me down.
What are we doing? Okay.
We already did that.
Me.
How can they do that so cheaply?
0033 is the county council.
How can they do that so cheaply?
What council? That's just one of us.
Hey, there's something the council you said?
Yeah.
What falls under it first, like when we go to our schools and stuff like that?
And that comes from that perpetuation fund that we were, that it's in the past. Some of it comes from here, but then all of us going to the meetings and stuff comes out of that.
Well, because the one in September, I talked to Sarah about it, sign up, so that we have it there.
If we still have this here, you could use that, yeah. I don't know what we have left of the 200, but we only budgeted 200.
County, right? So. Yeah, so I just want to make sure we got that, or if not, get it, or however we have to.
That's what Mandy was trying to get added to that fund. The extra 4,000 was to cover her meetings, but we also, everybody else takes out of that one too.
Okay, I thought. That's 4,000?
I don't think we did.
I thought they took that.
I think we said the commissioners were gonna look into it, and yeah, that's what we did. Somebody want to make a motion about the council?
I'll move that we approve council's budget as presented.
Have a motion from Cassie and a second from Kay. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? All in favor, Sarah. IT 0035.
This contract came down.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
This is the WOW contract, right?
This contract is down.
And the WOW contract went up,
Yeah, all that stuff going on.
but we don't have any control over it all. We have to pay it.
Oh, yeah, what?
WOW.
Oh, it's now.
I didn't trust myself. I should have been shit.
Planning Commission software, I think the commissioners approved that.
So they've got an assistant added to that, is that correct, Dave?
We had an assistant before, we just didn't have the position filled right now. The IT assistant.
Yeah, there was always two.
Yeah, there is a position.
Yeah.
And we
It
need a
was 0
part.
last year, 39 the year before that.
Right,
So that doesn't
But we are
need an
looking-
ordinance from the commissioners?
pardon me.
That doesn't need an ordinance?
We have the position existing, we just didn't fill it.
Yeah, it's already there.
Do we want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion
It's like a lot more.
for IT budget as presented.
Have a motion from Cassie. Is there a second? And we'll do this.
Yeah, I'll second.
Second from Todd, but then Todd also mentioned
No,
it was,
I see why it is, just because that.
it is, does that sound right now?
Yeah, that's not right.
Okay. All right, motion is second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then I think we're going to 1138. And I wonder if we can blanket.
It's 1138.
1,
It is 1138.
Yeah,
Hmm.
some of these are valuable.
Yeah, as I say, Fiddler, let's do a stack, 1138, 1140, no change.
To do those one.
Yeah, we can do those two together.
Actually, how about, why couldn't we do on
I don't even see it.
1156 and 1159
1.
Give
before?
me all the numbers again, Dave.
1156, we already did, didn't we?
Whatever.
We have a whole new packet.
Yeah, well, you have a new packet, remember? 1159 though is health department, we didn't do that, so I don't think we should do that, and then 1161, so why don't we do 1138 and 40?
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve fund 1140 and 1138 as they are presented with no changes.
Have a motion, is there a second? Second from Bruce, all those in favor, aye? Aye. Is there any opposed?
Yeah, never know, you know.
Yeah,
1161?
so
Which one?
1159
And 1161.
and 1161,
59, 61.
1161 is gonna be all new,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it says new.
Yeah, 'cause that's in the new.
Oh, he was certainly able to spend a lot of that,
Yeah,
but guess we're just getting started with it, I mean.
So what do we do at 1161? 159,
we don't even know it, do we?
Well, why don't we deal with 1159, 1159, because it looks like it's all personnel. Somebody want to make a motion on that? Motion for Bruce and
I'll
second,
second it.
Okay, so.
second from Kay, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Okay, 1161, that's just all new prospective stuff. $50,000 remodel.
Yeah, that's probably for that.
What's that?
Well, that wouldn't be for the 50,000 remodel wouldn't be for that back wing, that'd be for inside of their part of it, right, Don?
For what time?
There's a $50,000 remodel. Is that the money we were gonna use for the outside area?
Oh, the rec area,
The rec area?
the rec area.
Yeah, but we still ain't got, I'm still waiting on that.
Oh, you are? That's what is appropriate, that's what this is for,
Yeah,
yeah,
Remodel furniture.
yeah. Right?
Oh, no, the remodel furniture, that's the quarter.
So it wouldn't be in the
From the
health
health
fund, though.
funding?
Wouldn't be the health fund, though,
Okay, it is that, yeah, it'd be that.
yeah,
Okay, I was gonna say if not.
Where it's gonna, they're gonna pay back,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we gotta pay
Part
the
of
rest.
it, part of it, right?
I think they can do that each year.
So we don't even really know what this is gonna be,
No, cause it's a percentage.
I mean, we don't know. Right?
The thing to do would be just to get it started, I mean.
Have we received the money for that?
This is for 25, but yeah, it starts drawing.
I mean, this amount is obviously based off of something.
It's based off of what they're giving them, which was.
Yeah, either by line is it,
No,
508,000.
so. I don't know if we have much choice.
I mean, some of it looks like enormous amount for some of these things, but I mean, you get the party started.
I mean, we don't know. Yeah, like trauma and injury prevention, 115,000.
From zero,
Yeah, what is that?
You know what I
What
mean?
is that? Here,
Now,
here,
what
wear a
is
helmet,
that? Trauma injury.
here, wear a helmet, wear a helmet.
I'm thinking he might be thinking about buying EMS cots or something out of that, you know. Injury
It
prevention,
might be allowed furniture also.
yeah, there might be some stuff for himself too.
Do we need to
Be
have?
nice to
him
have
here?
it in here to go.
Well, he's already gone for the day, but we could add this to our next meeting if everybody wants to.
Hard to see what
I feel like when we have
Getting
that
pretty
many
fast.
questions
I
about
mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, where do you come up with that amount, so I.
What are you making a motion?
I'll make a motion that we table fund 1161 till our next meeting.
Then I'll second it.
Motion and a second, any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You know what, some of it offsets with 1168,
Yeah, I
but
know.
somebody like to amend their motion,
Yeah.
would somebody like to amend
Need
that
a motion add,
to? Well, the original motioners, would you like to amend your motion to add 1168?
Yeah, I'd like to amend the motion that we take 1161 and also add 1159 since they're both health code related.
And 1168.
and 1168.
And then, do you second that again, Cassie?
What about 1159, since that is also the help? To add.
We already
to
did
the
11.
table.
I think we approved 1159 because it was just salary.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing.
All right, so yeah, I'll amend this.
I seconded
Okay.
the first time.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Cassie. I'm sorry. Okay, all those in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed?
You guys probably didn't.
All in favor? All right, now let's look at these.
From the county highway.
1207. Unsafe building fund.
Did I do 1175?
Unsafe building one is just another one of those that collects.
So we're 1207 now, right?
Yeah.
Number.
Oh,
1207 and 1216.
12, yeah,
Actually, we could do 1217.
17.
Right?
Well, what about the assessor? That's all. Okay, why don't you do those three? Do those three.
All right, I would like to make the motion that we approve the following funds as presented. Fund 1216, Fund 1207. And Fund 1217 as presented with no changes or discretionary appropriations.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed?
What are we down to now?
1224. Assessor.
It's really not that different.
No, it's not. Back a couple of things went down.
Biggest changes in the software that I see.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm pretty sure that's pretty much not in her control.
I think we could approve it as
Is that a motion?
it is.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Tony. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Is there any opposed? All in favor, Sarah? And then supplemental adult is another one that maybe we should have had.
Really didn't change very much. The only thing changed was the officer, which is way more than 3%.
Oh, this might be one that we need to table.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
we need to add that to the court.
And maybe supplemental juvenile too, which is 2105.
Yeah,
So I'll move the table on 2100 and 2105.
is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Tony. All those in favor, aye. Just so you know, though, that'll go with the stack with the court.
Do we do 4,000? Do we do 4,000?
4112. 4112 is the one that's just sitting there. It's that Cisco money.
That the last one?
4902,
Oh, okay.
but that's another one that we just usually is just has its incremental increases. So 4112, 4902, 4931 is another one. 4932 is another one to put in the stack. We already did
I only have
4932.
4112 and 4102 left.
Okay, so we did 4931 and 4932 already. I still have them in my stack.
No, I took them out of.
No, here's
that.
439. There's 4931 here.
So I think those four,
I don't have 49.
Because-
I don't have 4932. I don't have that one.
actually. Okay, yeah, let's work, let's do that.
All right, so I'd like to make the motion that we approve as presented. Fund 4112, Fund 4902, Fund 4931, and Fund 4932.
The motion is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Tony. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed? Okay. 8950. I swear that Rachel said that there was something that she wanted to change on the ARPA one.
But she put something in there or something, Dave.
She got refunded, reimbursed with 200.
You just changed it around, what she said, took two things, put in there or something,
It was the dispatchers, right?
in my opinion.
It might have been that,
Okay,
might have been one, right?
yeah. If we're okay, then if somebody wants to make a motion.
Can't make every motion.
I'll make a motion. We approve Fund 8950.
Have a motion from Cassandra. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
You can't second all of them, you know.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not funny. You said the last one. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, gosh. Tobacco settlement,
Pretty good there, isn't it?
yeah, it got added 75,000 for building maintenance and 75,721 for transportation and health.
Is that number 9133?
Yeah. Is that the one we were talking to Frank about and he wanted to add something for a transportation vehicle?
I don't
9133.
remember that at all.
I don't either.
Let's add that to the health department, but that's what he wants to do. He wants to. I don't know what the building and maintenance part is, but he wants to add a transportation, work with community services to get more people to the doctor. Remember he was talking to you and I about that?
Yeah.
So add 9133 to the health department. Next meeting is August. We'll need to check to make sure that August 19th is still within the barn. When were we gonna have the budget hearing? We set the budget hearing date already, didn't we? I think we usually do our budget hearing date on the August meeting. Double check that. We may have to have this other budget meeting sooner than that, or the same day possibly, but just be aware, we may have a longer meeting. We might need to make our meeting earlier on the 19th to accommodate that. 91, 90, let's do a stack again, because WIC, WIC is WIC. 91, 93, 9505. And 1127. Those are all this home rule type fund. And then that's it. This is go to our regular agenda.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve. Fund 9193, Fund 9505,
500.
and 9500, and Fund 1127 as presented.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Bruce. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? You know what? 1101, did we do anything with that, or is that one of yours you said out there? Accident report fees.
I thought we.
I thought we put that in a stack. It was in a stack.
I thought we did that.
That's yours.
Everybody's got one stack and I've got three.
No,
I'll never.
no, we're in session. Look at the way we advertise this. I don't have an agenda in front of me though.
Print it off.
There wasn't nothing on it, was there?
Two things. It looks like Christmas. Your green folder and the red.
You filled enough threes.
Let's keep a couple up here just in case the public needs to.
Oh, that's very
Transfer request for
I went through that.
And just so everybody knows, I said I would represent Rachel on the transfer request. She was tired from being up for the county highway.
Red too. You want red? Red.
So housekeeping.
I have one thing since, so before we go any farther. Budgets. The airport. We have control of that budget. And they need to be here. They need to present that budget to us and we need to approve it. Plain and simple.
Can you put that in your notes to have them at our
Plain and
next
simple.
meeting? Usually they are here on budget hearings.
But they never, no.
No, what I'm saying is it might be,
What's
that
gonna,
might be our next meeting.
what's gonna happen, as far as I'm concerned, we are gonna make everything they spend is gonna be discretionary. I'll make a motion that they can pay for payroll and buy so much fuel, and that's it. Because they seem to think that we have no control. But the council does have control because it's tax money.
Sure.
We do have control, and I think that they owe us and the county the accountability to know what's going on, plain and simple.
So let's go back to that. So we'll have that for the next agenda. We're not gonna be able to start at 4:30 next week. Can we start at 2 o'clock? Or next month? So we'll request all these people to come in for a continuation of the first agenda item would be August 19th, right?
Is that enough
At
time?
2 p.m. Maybe not, maybe we should do 1. And then if we get over early, because the commissioners won't have their regular time, they'll be done by lunch. So let's say 1 o'clock. And our first agenda item will be the continuation of budget workshops. And then the second agenda item will be the budget hearing.
Second agenda item.
Wait a minute though, because you gotta have time to put the budget together to have the budget for the budget hearing.
Yeah, we can't do that.
What we can do though is we can have the budget hearing on Tuesday. To give the auditor enough time to take what's there,
Auditor.
right?
She's right.
Yeah. And
But we need to set our budget hearing date while we're here.
Why don't we have the budget hearing or continue this meeting? I don't know. The 29th of July or something soon. That's 2 weeks from today. I mean,
2 weeks from today.
do you have, because I have, these have to be entered into Gateway by the end of July,
Right,
right?
yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
I think, I don't know how that works.
yeah. Or we have it next week. I mean, that may be too soon for some people.
Yeah, I'll get a time next week. But it doesn't mean, it's just a couple to continue it, you can know
Right.
that.
Yeah,
What they do, shut the air conditioning off in here?
I think so.
Oh, wait a minute though, the budget hearing. We don't usually have the budget hearing until August.
Yeah, so does it have to be put in Gateway by the end of July or the end of
It has
August?
to be
I
done.
think it's the end of August.
I think it's the end of August too.
Let's tentatively set it and then we can always decide, but for right now, 1 o'clock.
It's
Budget
not our
hearing.
prize, it's not our deal. Commissioners. Yeah.
Yeah, the continuation of the budget workshop
At 1 o'clock. on the
Yeah.
19th.
When then?
What day?
on the 19th. We'll still have the continuation of this,
19th,
just as long as she verifies when the gateway has to be uploaded.
Okay.
And then the budget hearing. We'll have that on Tuesday, and then we'll reschedule our cookout for the day after that,
Budget hearing on the 20th.
the 20th.
20th of August?
Yeah, and then we'll do I'll cook the food for the cook, because we're not gonna do the cookout tomorrow because they're forecasting rain.
So
So-
take the one off of August 19th.
I'm
No.
out of town
So,
though, so as
we're-
long as someone else.
No, just we're giving 24 hours for
You're out of the way.
the auditor to finish entering.
But there will be.
She's gonna be gone the 19th and 20th.
But there will be
Yeah,
some,
there'll be somebody new,
so as long as we don't need.
right? So that way that the following day, because instead of going right into budget hearings. Well, I mean theoretically, if they're ready and they have the laptop open, we can have those numbers in and we can do the budget hearing.
You think that's gonna happen that fast?
But what she's saying is that there'll be a new auditor.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying on the 19th, if we finish these budget hearings. Or budget workshop, then we should give the auditor, whoever it is at that time, the next day to get the stuff
Yeah,
entered
right.
in. And then have the actual hearing, because the hearing, we've already beat this stuff up. All we're gonna do is go through each one of them and motion and approve, motion and approve, motion and approve.
August 19th at what time?
Pardon me?
August 19th at 1 o'clock, to continue this and our regular meeting starts.
on that day.
Staying in
The
session for the
19th continues what you've tabled.
Yes, and then also our regular meeting for
And then
that day,
start-
starting at 1.
So one, continuation of the budget and then it's like slash regular.
Yeah.
meeting.
To follow, no time.
That way we don't get
Like
in
I
trouble
did.
with the ODL, just for this one, yes.
And what time on the 20th, Dave?
And then on the 20th, I think it would be nice if we could I can reschedule our cookout for that day, so like if we could meet at 11, and then we could, that's not gonna take an hour to do the budget hearing. Sure, Well, that's why we do the workshop, so the hearing is not gonna, you know, because before we used to do hearings, do it all in one shot.
Used to do it in a day and a half.
Can't imagine, we've already been here for,
Well, it's gonna end up being a day and a half this time.
we've already been here for 7 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the 20th at 11,
What about your kids?
and then 1 PM for our cookout, or 12 PM, I should say, for our cookout. Tentatively for the weather. I don't want everybody to eat in the rain. We don't have a way to cover everybody. Okay, I have before me the Board of Commissioners and Stark County Council regular joint session minutes from May 20th. If somebody would like to make a motion, it's already been moved and signed by the commissioners. Is there a motion to
I'll make
accept?
a motion that we accept them as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Kay. All those in favor, aye? Aye. And then, I have before me the minutes from the regular Stark County Council meeting, June 17th. If somebody would like to make a motion.
I'll move.
Motion from Bruce, is there a second? I'll second it. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Okay. So the first item that we have on the regular agenda is CASA.
Anyway.
So we got, approved for a grant for, 2025. Which is about $9,433 more than we got approved for last year. Or for this year, 2024. Our grant last year was 16,520. They're granting it up to 25,953.
So you just need a motion for that amount?
For that amount, yeah, for a matching grant for the 25,953. It went up so high because we are. At this point in the year, we're only 10 less kids than we did all year last year.
Wow.
Yeah,
They need it.
That's good.
Somebody want to make that motion?
So are you asking for an additional $9,433? Is that what we're asking for?
yes, sir.
And you've got that in the form of a grant. I'll make that motion.
Have a motion, is there a second? Second, I believe, was that Kay? That was Kay. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, aye? Aye. Is there any opposed?
Wait, time for that.
And then I have the highway transfer request, and I told Rachel, thank you, since she was helping us. We have, an additional appropriation in office supplies, 1176-20100 to 1176-10120, which is superintendent of $500. Somebody like to make that motion?
I'll make it.
A motion from Cassie, is there a second?
I'll say that.
Second from Tony, is there any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Favor. Sarah. I really believe this.
Some people signed that, some people didn't.
Some people signed. This recorders one, and some people didn't from last time, it was approved, and. Some of you left before you signed it.
You and me are the only ones that signed it.
We were the only two that were paying attention.
About that.
Okay, so we've been here for, what, 7 hours? 8 hours?
Long time.
So let's just go around. Teresa, you have
I've been
anything?
here
I'm just
forever.
gonna loop all the way around everybody. Sarah?
I've set it up, I think.
Okay. Kathy,
I did not go to the skill board meeting this morning and I missed it, so I have nothing to report for that.
I know Janice for a second mentioned something about additional classes, but I don't know if they talked about them or what, but she did allude to that earlier.
But I would have a comment for you that are on the Development Foundation. It was recommended a few years ago that they have term limits,
Oh, yes, this did come up.
and I wish, has it been brought up?
Yeah.
Actually, though, I'm glad you brought up just for your, actually what happened was we're committed, the three that are on there and Janice knows to add that to our next agenda. To
That was
discuss.
recommended. I think, I would hope that you guys would push
Yeah,
it.
we're gonna.
We are going to push it, absolutely.
Yes.
I wasn't at the June 17th.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's why.
Tony?
No, other than, I wasn't at the June 17th meeting either, so
Oh, okay.
Sarah, when you guys asked about approving the minutes, just so
Gotcha.
she knows, doesn't write me down as I wasn't there.
Maybe Howard, but Howard's gone.
Well, that's right, Howard is there.
But that's all right.
Yeah, I guess Tony was absent, he said, and Bruce.
But you don't have plumbing to.
Here and.
Oh, look at. Robert, anything else?
Just one thing, at your next meeting, you're gonna have the new audit, you might ask Sarah to show up all.
Can I ask, am I supposed to, because this was
For the next
a,
meeting.
The fit rest of this, budget.
I don't know, I'm just signing it.
I'm on vacation the 19th and 20th.
Oh, yeah, okay, you got lucky.
It was better that we did permission, I asked Rachel to be here.
Everybody is,
Yeah, possibly remind me.
I will.
Is that it, Don?
Yep, that's it, sorry.
did we, you got to sign it.
No, because I wasn't.
Mr. and Mrs. Bell.
You were not here.
I was here with my dad. I wasn't here, I was waiting for it.
Come with airmail. Yes, no, airman. Look at that. That's how you do that. by the way.
Thank you. Is that also your?
Yeah.
There was a question about that. I asked Cassie earlier, and so,
I had suggested that the two attorneys.
yeah.
discuss that.
Since Justin wasn't here, because what I had brought up this morning is that some of the council just wanted to express their, feelings, if you will, concerns. And whether that should be executive session, whether it should be regular session. There was no preparation for this meeting, because we didn't know what Cassie's house was gonna be like here, so obviously we couldn't forecast that. But my question, I think what we decided was have the two attorneys decide if it should be an executive or an open session.
And as far as
That
scheduling
discussion.
goes, because my attorney's schedule is.
And to see if that would fit, that's right, Cassie, I'm sorry. To see if that date would fit our regular session on the 19th. But whether that actually should be, because at this point, for the council to be able to just discuss that together, the reaction. To what was brought forward, and then also just anything that they wanted to get off their chest or whatever. Should that be an executive or should that be an open session?
Yeah.
There was a request for an executive originally, it was postponed, I think,
Somebody.
Due to my attorney.
yeah, he requested, I couldn't remember if it was my request.
So the attorney had requested
He
executive.
requested that we bump the executive back.
So really, we should let her attorney decide, tell us whether we should be executive then or.
I don't know what you all want to do with this. If you all just want to, if you want to make a comment about how you feel about it, then an executive probably isn't necessary. But if you want to discuss actual information, receive information in an executive, then it probably would be necessary because that's probably not, how do you guys want to treat it? I know that, if you want to see further action on it, it's part of a process. If you do not, if you just want to make comments, I can't stop you from making comments in an open meeting. If, again, you want to schedule an executive to receive information, to discuss it amongst yourselves out of view of the public.
I guess.
I don't want to sit here and direct what you guys
Wouldn't it
are.
be the people that's complaining, and that's kind of the,
Yeah, but
that's the.
I know we received complaints a couple months ago, right? It was public comment. It wasn't evidence, it was public comment.
So what if the council wanted to discuss whether they wanted to, like what they wanted to do next? Is that better in
Yes,
executive?
because I don't want to sit here and say, because I don't want to hedge my bets depending on if you guys just want to your thoughts about it in response to public comments. If you guys want to make public comments on the record, I can't stop you from
Public
that.
comments are made, a little legal education at an executive session would probably be
Well, you guys,
appropriate.
nobody has told me, because I've heard how many different versions of this is what I want, this is what I don't. I honestly don't know what 4 or 7 council members want to do here with an executive, with receiving information with. So, it kind of puts me in an awkward spot too. Because if I say this needs to be set for an executive, it makes it sound like we're receiving information to perpetuate some type of process. If I say, no, just keep it in an open meeting and just make public comments just like anybody else does, it makes it sound like I'm saying, well, don't do anything with it. So you got, I mean,
Well, we got, so here's the deal. I mean, anybody that,
Can I add something? Am I allowed to?
Uh,
I feel like, from the community standpoint, we were led to believe that there was an executive session that was going to be held. Now it feels like maybe it's just being pushed under the rug. So an executive session probably would be the most appropriate thing. That way the public opinions and comments are held private.
and that's
Public,
kind
the
of what I
public
was,
doesn't participate.
The public will not be in executive session.
I understand
Yeah.
that. That's
Kind of-
probably.
that's what I was
gonna
gonna-
tell if it was an executive session. So the public wasn't there.
and that's just, that's kind of what I was, I mean, basically, the information is like, so what's going on there? It's like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. When people ask you that, I mean, that's kind of where we're looking at you as the attorney, we don't know what to.
it's kind of a novel situation, right? There's not a whole lot of guidance when it comes to, I mean, there's some guidance when it comes to what somebody's procedural due process rights are, right? There's not a lot of guidance with regard to what's the most appropriate direction to take. I mean, again, if someone wants to say we want to entertain an action for, let's just take the extreme example, an ejectment from the Starke County Council, we could look at that process. I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying, but if you're saying, you know what, some of us just don't like the comments that were made, so we want to voice that in a meeting. I mean, it's public comment, just like anything
Probably
else.
better than to have an executive meeting, so it's just the council and attorneys, and just, I mean, talk about it, kind of make sure. Say, this is what was brought for us, I mean, what do we think we should do?
I think we just need to be
I mean, if
clear.
you get complaints, you've got to do something about it. I mean, I guess.
I think that my attorney's just waiting to hear back. from
So
the
can we reach out to Cassandra's attorney then to see if she can, if he can be available, sorry, it's a he now. At 12:30 on August 19th for an executive session, and we'll make the executive session tentative to that. I don't think it needs to be longer than 30 minutes.
Why?
And then at that point, it could also be determined in the executive session if anything goes into the regular meeting then, right?
Yeah, I mean, the portion of the code that allows you to receive information concerning an individual's alleged misconduct for who the board has jurisdiction of, which I think is the wording, is pretty broad, but again, if it's to receive and consider evidence beyond what's just been stated, there's additional procedural due process considerations there. If it's just to consider statements that have been made, it looks a little bit different than the start of a process for the extreme, So I guess we just need to decide what that looks like, because with respect to Cassie's procedural due process rights, if we're going to be receiving evidence and information, her attorney's going to have a right to request that.
We can't do it.
And I've not received myself any.
We've already received a response to my FOIA request, but actually he's probably going to be contacting you about and probably submitting another one. So actually the August 19th date might be too quick, because I think there's a 20 or 27 business days that the county has to respond to a FOIA request.
Well,
No,
it depends on the manner in which it's received, and it just says within a reasonable period of time you respond if it's a public access request. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't have any evidence in my possession to, say this is what's going to be considered at a meeting. If there's additional information over and above comments that were made, I just need to know that so I can provide it to the other party. Yeah, if you want to, I guess step number one, if you want an executive, that's great. If there's going to be evidence over and above just the comments that were made, testimonial or hard evidence, I need to know what those are before the executive so I can provide them to Cassie's attorney, I guess is what I'm saying. So, yeah, executive's fine. I think, again, it falls within the exception to the ODL. I'll just need to know what you want to present. If it's just a ruminate over the comments, there's really not a lot to, if it's additional information, then I'll need to know that, so.
Is anybody in the council aware that there's any additional information?
Well, I mean, the only thing I would say is, it's like, and I already told Cassie and a lot told you, and you talked about, how Brian was saying, where he messaged me, and so, talking, you talked to her about that. That, and just whatever people that come in here saying, stuff like that, so I mean, I don't really.
I'll just ask, please, each one of you individually, if you could, I mean, if you. It's trying to be fair to everybody. If you have information you want to offer information, I'm not saying evidence, information of that executive, please send it to me prior to that meeting so I can give it to Cassie's attorney. Otherwise, we're not giving the other side, I said the other side, and that's awkward to say, but Cassie's side a fair shake to consider when information is gonna be presented, so.
Okay, and that's just the council, right? Or would that include anything the commissioners might want to add since they're part of the executive?
Well, it's up to you guys. If you want it to be a joint executive, if the commissioners want to have their own executive, if you guys want to do it together. If you just want a council held executive, you can decide who doesn't have access to that executive, so.
Well, interestingly, with this alleged unsigned code of conduct, I wasn't aware, and there's been statements made that this is a self-governing body. I wouldn't think that that includes the commissioners.
I think I would agree with that.
I agree with that. I mean, the only reason I say that is because we actually had a meeting, they were talking about doing a code of conduct. For, commissioners, there was brought up, and it's like, they don't, I mean, so it's like, from what I read, which I mean, again, I think it's stupid we have one, but obviously we have it for a reason.
I can't remember what, sorry, Tony, I can't remember. Was the complaint brought up in a joint session or was it brought up just in a county council session?
I believe the first time was May 10th, which was a special meeting regarding the park board.
Okay. That's, Donnie's aware the commissioners have been getting all kinds of complaints that some we can do things on, some we can't do things on, so I just want to make sure that. I guess it's just a council HUD executive. I mean, it makes sense to me what Cassie mentioned, but if it was considered a complaint sent to the commissioners, I mean, they can't do anything. They have no jurisdiction over a county council member, but I guess they could still have an executive, but I don't know why you would. But, we've received complaints about other elected officials that we can't really do anything about, so.
So let me ask you this, Justin. So like the balance X over here, if whoever has complained, just asking what's going on, whatever. Should it be like, you guys need to, whatever evidence you have or whatever, because I mean, obviously this is the people that have complained, whoever it was, okay? Are pretty much, they don't need to do anything more other than, because like what they had, I'm assuming they assumed like evidence or whatever. I guess, I mean, because basically if they're not coming forward as council, I mean, if nobody's gonna, follow through the complaints, I guess for us, I mean, other than. I mean, well, we don't want our name attached to that, we don't want people thinking we're saying that stuff or whatever, but.
If you're gonna invite them to the county council member to give comment, or the county council executive session to provide comments, we need to let them know that, because they have a right to know who's gonna
Or
be
see if they
there.
even want. Obviously, these two are sitting here, so I'm certain that they are trying to pursue further. And the one guy just asked me, is there anything, I was like, I don't know what's, my dad's been sick, I ain't.
Our attorney's waiting for a reply.
Okay, so there's obviously, I guess they didn't know that, so they have an attorney.
So here's the thing, they have no private right of action against the county council for a lack of doing so. I'll just be honest. I mean, they have a private action against Attorney Hine, potentially. I don't know if it's meritorious or not. But because the county council doesn't do anything to one of its own members, it's a discretionary decision. I don't see a liability that you as a council have to private individuals for lack of admonishing, expelling a member. So I just want to be clear. I mean, their attorney can pursue something aside from the council.
And that's where, if we do have an executive session, I think we've already forwarded you a copy of the most relevant case law about my freedom of speech rights, both as a private citizen and an elected official.
And we can talk about that a little bit more. We can talk about that a little bit more. I think I've been fairly consistent with my advice, despite who was asked me. But again, this is something we can talk about more in executive. I want to be fair to them. I want to be fair to you guys. I want to be fair to Cassie, and that's a hard thing to try to balance. So.
Well, and I mean, it sounds like the point was we promised an executive. And it's not, that's, we didn't follow through yet, so we made
We
that.
also need to follow, I mean, what Justin's pointing out is there has to be statutory grounds for one as well.
For an executive session.
Promises made. But, I mean, it sounds like that there would be.
Yeah, I think the way the section reads for executive sessions are to receive information concerning an individual's alleged misconduct that's under the jurisdiction of the board. Since the county council, each member is under the jurisdiction of its own board, you can have an executive to discuss it.
So let's reach out to her attorney then to see if he's available 12:30. We just follow through then and on the 19th.
Man, I hope that thing's good.
Okay,
I think it's good.
so with that. And a very long day, would somebody like to make a motion
I'll
to
make-
adjourn?